Someone make it make sense.
Probably a couple.
And I am really excited about that. I am really, really kind of eager because, I mean, now I'm like, hey, it's kind of an adventure. I kind of wonder about like the adventure of going through and watching the trial again and seeing every sidebar. And being like, okay, now we get to see the sidebars. That would probably be too much effort, too much time, too much whatever. But yeah.
Jackson, United, it's time to shine. There's snow, there's snow, there's snow, there's snow. To the window, to the wall, to the wall, to the bartender's last call. At the waterfall, I say sleep, motherfucker. I say sleep, goddamn. I say sleep, motherfucker. I say sleep, goddamn. They'll crunk and act and meet. Friends will be resting, they have too much drink in their minds. Everything's fine, they've been acting for together about 50 damn times. To the window, to the wall, to the wall. The bartender's last call, at the waterfall. I say sleep, motherfucker. I say sleep, goddamn, goddamn. I say sleep, motherfucker. I say sleep, goddamn. Do 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 do.
Welcome on in, Squirrel friends, old and new. Happy to see you guys. Shout out to Miss Mojo, aka Shelly, who's been a member for 6 months. Love it. Hope you're enjoying your new squirrel badge for your 6-month mark there. And some of you guys, you know, with the way YouTube does the new usernames, I don't know that I recognize who all of you guys are. Is this official? Official, let me know if that is you. Shout out to Kitsmits. Welcome to you guys, all that are here. Woohoo! It is official. Nailed it. Awesome, awesome. Happy to see you guys. So here's the plan for today. We're going to finish up with day 1 and hopefully try to get through day 2. And then the plan will be on New Year's Eve. I'll be able to start earlier. And we're going to do days 3 and 4. And I already have the sidebars ready to go for that. So we'll do like a longer stream on New Year's Eve. So for those of you guys who have plans, cancel them. Just kidding. You don't have to cancel your plans. But anyway, we'll be here. We'll celebrate New Year's Eve. And this has become like a tradition here on the channel because I believe for the past couple New Year's Eves, we've actually been live streaming. So happy to be able to be with you guys and celebrate New Year's Eve with some sidebars. Official says, I wanted to do Karen again. Well, you know what? You're in the right place, my friend. You're in the right place. You're doing Karen again. So with that being said, we're picking up here with, like I said, day 1. And this is going to be, why does it do that? This is going to be Officer Saraf taking the stand at the tail end of the day here. And then he comes back at the beginning of day 2. So let's go.
Mr. Lally, your next witness.
Yes, Your Honor. Commonwealth will call Officer Stephen Saraf to the stand.
Your birthday. You know who else's birthday it is? It's Chris's birthday on New Year's Eve too. He has 2 birthdays. Actually, let me restate that. Technically, he was like going to be born on New Year's Eve, but ended up being New Year's Day. So y'all have the same birthday. You and Twiz do, official. So that's awesome. And Kit Smith says she was debating recording some Christmas and holiday themed sidebar clips. Please do. Please. If you want to do that and send them through Discord, with your permission, we can play them here on the channel if you want. So.
Just also the energy to the court and jury in case ever hears the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. I do. Thank you.
You can sit or stand, whatever you want to do. Just ask that you speak into the microphone, please.
You have the same birthday as twins.
Okay, whenever you're ready, Mr. Lally.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon. Could you please state your name and spell your last name for the record?
My name is Officer Saraf, Saraf, Canton Police Department.
And how long have you been a member of the Canton Police Department?
About 27 years.
Now, were you working with the Canton Police Department on January 28th into January 29th of 2022?
I was.
Do you recall what shift you were working on that occasion?
I was working midnight to 8 shift.
Midnight to 8 a.m., is that correct?
That's correct.
And were you dispatched to a call at approximately 6:05 a.m.?
Yes, I was.
And if you recall, what was the dispatch in regard to and where specifically were you dispatched to?
It was a call of a person that was unconscious outside, I believe it was 34 Fairview Road in Canton.
Now, that particular area of Canton, are you familiar with that area of Canton?
Yes.
And as far as the town of Canton is concerned with respect to police department, is there sort of different sectors within the town that you would be assigned to patrol?
That's correct.
And the area of Fairview Road, would that be within your sector that you
Yes,
typically
yes.
patrol?
That was West Sector.
And how many sectors
Right.
within the town of Canton are there?
4.
Now, that particular area of Fairview Road, what type of area is that? Is it residential, commercial, or something else?
It's residential.
And the roadway of Fairview Road, there's houses on that roadway, is that correct?
That's correct.
Is there any sort of, it's a paved roadway, is that correct?
It is. Yes.
The lanes, are they divided by any sort of lines in the middle of it?
Yes.
And who, if anyone, owns or maintains that particular roadway?
The town of Canton does.
Now, you received that dispatch. Where were you, if you recall, when you received the dispatch?
I was, there's a church right next to the police station. I was in that parking lot.
And with respect to the evening of the 28th into the morning of the 29th, what, if anything, were you aware of as far as sort of forecast of the weather? Or
Which I did have an idea for the New Year's Eve stream that we could do like a drinking game of every time Lolly says, what if any? However, I think that if anyone was to do that drinking game with alcohol, there would be casualties. So we could make it a rule, anything but alcohol, but I thought that would be fun as well for New Year's Eve to do a drinking game with what if any beverage of choice, but stay safe, people.
anything sort of pending coming?
Yeah, it was snowing pretty good that night. It was a snowstorm that evening.
Imagine that.
So there's a snowstorm that had been predicted, is that correct?
I believe so, yeah.
There was a snowstorm actually occurring around that time, just after 6 a.m.
That's correct.
And at the time that you're responding, a little after 6 a.m., was light out, dark out, or something?
It was dark out.
And the time, if you know, how much time elapsed sort of between the time that you received the call and the time that you arrived in that area of Fairview?
It's pretty close to a couple of minutes maybe, because I didn't obviously go as fast as you could go because the roads were pretty snowy.
During the course of, you've been working sort of since midnight, correct?
Correct.
And over the course of your work throughout that evening, had you, or what if anything, had you noticed with regard to snow removal as far as town plows or anything like that?
I don't understand. Were they plowing? Is that your question? They usually they were plowing the roads.
Okay. So there had been some sort of treatment or plowing to the roads prior to your response, as far as you know?
Yes. Yes.
What were sort of the road conditions or the visibility or anything like that? If you
Didn't
recall,
we
during
just cover this? Oh, for fuck's sake.
your response time?
It was snowing pretty well. The roads were definitely slippery. It took me a while to get to the destination.
Classic.
And if you recall, sir, what was sort of the path of travel that you took from? You mentioned you were in the church parking lot next to the police station, correct?
That's correct.
And where is the police station located?
So the police station's on Washington Street, 1492 Wash.
And so what was sort of the path of travel that you took from the church lot next to the police station to Fairview?
So I went past the police station onto Chapman Street, and then from Chapman Street I went to Fairview Road.
And when you were approaching Fairview Road, are you taking a right or left or something?
So right.
And as you were taking that right onto Fairview, what, if anything, happened with your vehicle as you were taking that to?
Nothing that I recall.
Nothing happened.
And
What
that
a great question, Lolly. What if anything happened to your vehicle? Nothing.
particular, coming
Great.
from that Chapman side of Fairview, Fairview goes from Chapman and then it goes down to sort of, let's say, the bottom of the street. It connects with another street. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And what is the street that's
Cedar Crest?
And
For sure.
if you're
For sure.
coming from the Chapman side down to the Cedar Crest side, what, if anything, is there as far as an elevation? Like, is it uphill, downhill, or flat?
It's down a hill, fairly decent sized hill.
Decent size.
And as you are driving down Fairview, what, if anything?
So yeah, so sort of he has what if anything, obviously, sort of also with regards to is another one that another lollyism that I think that second place to what if any in terms of the number of times, like with regards to is the other one. But and then he does say sort of a lot as well. He says sort of, not sort of a lot, but he says sort of a lot.
Mentioned it was dark outside, correct?
That's correct.
So what, if anything, beyond sort of the headlights on your cruiser, did you utilize for assistance as you were driving down there?
I had a spotlight on the driver's side, handheld spotlight to try to locate the house in question.
And if I could just ask you a little bit about the type of vehicle that you were driving. So was it, what kind of police cruiser were you driving?
Oh my God.
It's an Explorer.
So SUV, is that right?
Yes, SUV, yes.
And as far as those, or the particular cruiser that you were driving on that occasion, what, if anything, is it equipped with as far as cameras or anything like that within the vehicle?
Yeah, it's equipped with a camera for front and back, and in the rear seat of the cruiser.
And so as you're driving down Fairview, you reach out and start to utilize your spotlight sort of on, where is that located on the cruiser?
It's on my left-hand side.
And is that a spotlight that's outside of the cruiser or inside of the cruiser? Where is it located
On the outside of the cruiser, but there's a handle that manipulates it so you can point the spotlight where you want to go.
Okay, so you have some sort of tool within the cruiser where you can manipulate where it points.
That's correct.
That's what he just said.
And as you're coming down Fairview, utilizing that spotlight, what, if anything, do you observe out in front?
Well, as I got to my destination, I saw 3 people on the lawn of in the snow, waving at me.
And initially, when you see these 3 people in the snow, do you have any idea sort of who they are, or male, female, anything like that?
There were 3 women, and I later learned it was a male subject on the ground.
And so when you initially are sort of approaching or getting to the residence, you indicate you see the 3 women waving at you. Could you see, or what, if anything, could you see the body?
Great idea.
I saw that there was somebody on the ground. Yes,
So you could see the 3 women and you could see a person on the ground.
that's correct.
And at some point, subsequent to this, did you learn the identity of the person on the ground?
I did.
And who did you learn that?
John
from?
O'Keefe.
I mean, so also, did he? Okay. You guys. If you're the first officer dispatched, okay, not even at the first, if you're an officer dispatched, right, don't you think that if any information is communicated from the dispatcher to the patrol officer, wouldn't the information be, again, it would be what Jen said, right? There's a man lying in the snow, a man, right? Like, man. So why is this like, oh, I didn't know who anybody was, and then when I got there, I could see it was a man. Like, okay.
And prior to this dispatch, did you know John O'Keefe anyway?
No.
Now, the 3 females that you saw sort of around Mr. O'Keefe's body on the ground, at some point later, did you subsequently identify who those 3 people were?
I did.
And who did you identify?
One was Karen Reed. The other one was Miss McCabe and Miss Robertson.
All right, sir, I'm going to ask you to keep your voice up, okay? Or speak into the microphone.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Now, you arrive on scene and I'm assuming you get out of your cruiser, is that correct?
That's correct.
What, if anything, did you do from there?
I walked over to the scene. I first asked, is this person a drug user? He's an issue with drugs.
Exactly.
Somebody said, no, he's a Boston police officer. I said, okay. I checked for a pulse. I couldn't find a pulse.
Good point, MCAS.
Then I went back to my cruiser and tried to find the AED, which is an automated external defibrillator.
Back just for a second. So you indicated that you checked for a pulse, correct?
That's correct.
And where on Mr. O'Keefe did you check for?
On his neck, it's carotid.
So if it's carotid, is that correct?
That's correct.
And when you made contact with sort of the skin area in his carotid area on his
Sort
neck,
of.
what, if anything, did you observe as far as Mr. O'Keefe when you did?
I couldn't find any pulse or anything like that, and he was cold to the touch.
Now, when you did this, Mr. O'Keefe, you mentioned was sort of on the ground, correct?
That's correct.
And how was he sort of positioned on the ground?
He was laying on his back.
And as far as your observations of Mr. O'Keefe during this initial time when you're checking the pulse,
Now, one thing I wanted to just note here is for those of you guys who maybe haven't seen it, and for those of you guys who maybe have, I just wanted to remind us all that we broke down in detail Jen's testimony, obviously from the first trial and the second trial, but also the 911 call. And in the 911 call, you could hear her in the background. Hold on, I might sneeze, guys. Sorry. In the 911 call, you hear her say something about how, sorry, double sneeze, about how she's going to have to flip him over when they're asked to do CPR. And she mentions having to, it's something like, she mentions being able to see the back of his head and then also rolling him over to do CPR, which all of that would indicate that he was face down. And wherever that is, that came up during her testimony with the 911 call, it's all time stamped, but it's that was never really delved into by the defense, but it's like a huge discrepancy and inconsistency of like, was he actually face down when they got there? Or then what is going on here, right? And we know that if memory serves, right, it wasn't one of the oddities, one of many, that there wasn't like the blood from his head, right? There wasn't the amount of blood that you would expect underneath him if he had been on his back. So anyway, I'm just noting that because it's relevant here. He's saying that when he got there, John O'Keefe was on his back, which they would have had to, if he was face down initially, they would have had to flip him over on his back to do CPR. But Jen's testimony was that they found him and he was on his back. But in the 911 call, that gets contradicted. Does anybody remember that? Anyone else remember that?
what, if anything, did you observe sort of on him or around him or anything like that?
Great. Kip Smith's there.
I didn't really.
Let me ask it a different way. So as far as you mentioned that when you arrived there, it was snowing, correct?
Correct.
And so how much snow was in and around or on top of Mr. O'Keefe when you first observed?
It was about,
Up with this,
let's say about 6 inches on the ground. There was a light dusting on top of him, I'd say.
which is
And what, if any, observations did you make of Mr. O'Keefe and sort of how he was dressed at this time initially that you observed?
I don't recall what he was wearing.
Now, with reference to the residence at 30.
wow. Good job. You didn't check your notes. You don't recall what he was wearing. Did you not think you were gonna get asked that? This is, so far we've had two witnesses. Both of them were O'Keefe's, right? We had Aaron O'Keefe and Paul O'Keefe. This is the first time the jury's hearing from an officer, and it's the first officer on the scene. And if anybody should expect to be asked about what John O'Keefe was wearing and what they observed, it should be him, right? In other words, you would expect to hear it from this witness and maybe the next responding officer, but you wouldn't. After that, you wouldn't expect to hear it from officers 5, 6, whatever, right? This would be anyway. It's just like he's like, I don't know. I remember what he was wearing. Oh wait, hold on. I guess I almost forgot. They don't write their police reports and whatnot, right? So maybe that's part of the problem. Yeah, exactly. I'm assuming you took notes, right? Correct. I forgot that there's no notes. And then Kit Smith is also saying, yeah, plus the lack of blood around him also didn't make sense because head wounds are notorious for bleeding. Right, exactly. Right. That's exactly right, which suggests he's been moved. Exactly. 100%. So between the lack of blood, if he'd been on his back the whole time, or even on his face, really, but the lack of blood there, and then also the inconsistencies with the 911 call and the testimony, and the mutterings in the background about flipping him over, it's fishy, But yeah, it's I would say it's one of the things that is so fishy, but was never really delved into. Maybe it'll come up in the civil suit. I hope so. I hope that Jen gets ripped apart on that one, because she deserves more getting ripped apart.
Before Fairview Road. If you're standing in front of the house on the street facing the house, which side of the property was Mr. O'Keefe lying on his back?
If you're facing the house, it's to the, I'm sorry, go again. Can you say that again, please?
So if you're standing on the street facing the house, was Mr. O'Keefe more to the center of the property, the right of the property, or the left?
He was on the left of the property, yes.
Now, in addition to Mr. O'Keefe, in this sort of area on the left side of the property, what, if any, sort of other landmarks or other things that you observe on that side of the property?
To the left of the property, there was a fire hydrant, a bush, and a flagpole, I believe.
Good.
To the left, to the farther left, like more near the property line, I would say.
Now, with reference to, mentioned that there was snowing out,
There's with reference to, yeah, there's with reference to, and then with regards to, yeah.
and
That's
there was snow on the ground, correct?
That's correct.
What, if anything else, did you note as far as the weather conditions, as far as wind, temperature, or anything like that?
I would say it was near blizzard conditions. It was snowing really, really hard.
fuck's sake.
And how cold? Obviously, January, it's snowing out. It was cold, but how cold was it, if you know, when you first arrived?
Less than 32 degrees. I don't know exactly.
He's only saying that because he's like, yeah, it snows when it's 32 and under, so I had to be under 32. He doesn't know the answer. He's just like,
It's cold.
fucking.
So you pull up in that area with the three females. Are they to your right or to your left?
That, then.
I pulled up. Basically, I had my cruiser straight on.
And so which side of the cruiser were the three females and Mr. O'Keefe when you pull up and stop?
Was straight ahead.
Straight ahead. And-
A little to the left.
And what, if any, other vehicles did you observe sort of in the roadway in that area where three females were and Mr. O'Keefe?
There was another vehicle in the roadway on the side of the road. I parked basically right behind that.
And do you recall anything about that vehicle, like what type it was, what
I
color,
don't.
or anything like that?
I don't recall.
Now, with regard to the three females who identified as Ms. Reed, Ms. McCabe, and Ms. Roberts, do you recall where they were in relation to Mr. O'Keefe, each of them, when you first sort of pull up and get out of your cruiser?
So when I arrived, I saw Miss Reed looked like she was giving CPR to him, and she had blood on her face.
Now, in addition to yourself, there are other sort of first responders that are dispatched to the scene as well. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And of them, who, if anyone else, was on scene at the time that you arrived?
When I arrived, I was the first to arrive. Then there was Officer Mullaney that came a few minutes later, and then the fire department came after him, and I believe Sergeant Good came at, like, within that. I don't know with how many minutes, but it was pretty close.
What
You're
do
first to
you
arrive on scene, and then Mullaney comes a couple minutes later.
Yes,
About how long
What,
was
if
it between when
anything,
Officer Mullaney arrives and when the
you
fire department arrives?
with regards?
couple minutes. I don't.
And at some point after that, a Sergeant Good comes. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Sergeant Good is a sergeant with your department.
That is correct.
Now, the fire department, when they arrived, you recall what type
Sergeant Good. It's like, don't let the name fool you. He did a bad job at everything. Sergeant Bad.
of apparatus they had that arrived on scene?
I believe it was an engine. They usually come with an engine and an ambulance.
So to your recollection, it was at least an ambulance and an engine.
Yeah. Yes.
When you were in transit, sort of coming from the church parking lot next to the station, 234 Fairview, what, if anything, did you have activated on your cruiser as far as lights or sirens or anything like that?
I believe I might have my blue lights on. I'm not sure.
As far as the time that you're coming, this is shortly after 6 a.m. in a blizzard, was there, what, if any, sort of other vehicular traffic did you observe en route from church parking lot to 34 Fairview?
There wasn't any that I can recall.
So you go to get your AED device from your cruiser, is that correct?
That's correct.
And around that time that you're retrieving that, what happens?
FD, the fire department, came on scene, and they took over care of Mr. O'Keefe.
Now, beyond sort of just checking pulse, as far as around that time when you were checking the pulse in the carotid area for Mr. O'Keefe, what, if any, other observations did you make with regard to any injuries or anything else on Mr. O'Keefe?
But when I first got there, he had blood on his face, and it was just wiped away. So that's the only.
So there was blood on his face that was wiped away?
That's correct.
Okay. So if there's, you guys see any problem with that? It's like, how do you know it was wiped away? If you look at somebody's face and there's not blood on it, or there's like very little blood on it, how do you know it was wiped away? It's like there was blood on his face, it was wiped away, so I didn't see the blood. He was. That happened pretty recently, I think. The filings.
Now, when the fire department arrives on scene and they sort of take over resuscitative efforts with regard to Mr. O'Keefe, is that correct?
That is correct.
Mm-hmm.
And the person you identified as Ms. Reed, firstly, do you see that person in the courtroom today?
I do.
Could you just identify us where she's seated or not?
Sitting at the table right there, black.
I just ask record reflect identification of the witness.
Yes.
After the fire department arrived, when they sort of take over resuscitative efforts with regard to Mr. O'Keefe, what, if any, observations did you make of Ms. Reed and what she was doing or saying about it?
So very good. So Kit Smith makes a good point that if it looks smeared, then she could see it. True. But you know what? He didn't testify to that. I mean, absolutely. But he could have said, well, there was blood that was smeared. But like, he shouldn't then draw any conclusion. Let the jury draw the conclusion as to what that means, right? You know what I mean? But like he didn't do any of that because that would just be way too logical and like, you know, a normal person who thinks with their brain at all. Twiz. Hey, guess what? You and Official have the same birthday. We realized. Twiz in the house. Twiz in the
Miss Reed was visibly upset. She kept saying, "This is all my fault. This is my fault. I did this," and she was very hysterical. And she kept asking, "He's dead. Is he dead? Is he dead?"
And with that specific phraseology, that's something that she kept saying?
Yes.
Always
And
in groups
by
of
your
three
nature, I'm assuming you
somehow.
said something that you said more than once.
Several times, correct.
And when she's saying this, can you describe sort of how she's saying this? I mean, is it a whisper? Is it a scream? Or is it something?
She was yelling pretty good.
Oh,
And
you don't say. So then how come nobody woke up? For fuck's sake.
with regard to her repetitive question as far as is he dead, what, if any, response did you provide to her in regard to that?
I just said they're doing the best that they can. I don't know.
CC, welcome on in, my friend. Woo!
Now, at some point, did you direct Ms. Reed, the defendant, to somewhere else away from Mr. O'Keefe?
Yeah, I tried to get her out of the elements. I put her in a car. I don't know if it was my cruiser or another cruiser there, but I had her sit in the back seat just to get out of the snow.
And did she stay in that cruiser for any?
She stayed in for a few minutes and then she was like up and down, up and down.
So sort of in and out of whatever car you put her into.
That's correct.
When she would come out of the car, where would she go?
She was just walking around. From what I remember,
Great.
Now, with reference to Mr. O'Keefe, he's laying on his back on the ground. That location, where was that in relation to the roadway of Fairview?
I would say about 20 feet off the road.
But they don't know
So
because
if
it's
it's 20 feet
never
off the road, is
measured.
it fair to say that was on sort of the front lawn of 34 Fairview?
Yes, that's correct.
And at some point, the fire department takes Mr. O'Keefe's body off of the lawn. Is that correct?
That is
And where
correct.
were you in relation to Mr. O'Keefe on that?
I don't remember.
Wow.
And from,
Useless.
if you don't remember, do you recall anything about sort of what the ground looked like when Mr. O'Keefe was lifted up?
I don't recall. I didn't.
Useless as fuck, dude. This is craziness.
Now, that area around where Mr. O'Keefe was, when you initially come up, you see him on the ground and you check for the pulse. If anything, did you note around Mr. O'Keefe's body as far as the condition of or disturbance of the snow around?
I noticed that there were footprints and track marks around the body itself. There was none coming from the residence or the area. It was just right around the body itself.
And so the position that Mr. O'Keefe is lying on his back on the lawn, correct?
Correct.
Is his head closer to the house or the street or something else?
I believe his head was closest to the house.
And the footprints that you're talking about, was that between sort of his feet in the street or above his head, or where was it in relation to the
Basically all around him because people were walking around him.
And as far as beyond sort of the immediate area above his head, between his head and the house, what if any footprints, what if any disturbance in snow did you observe?
I didn't see any.
Interesting how like the vast majority of the questions he's being asked, he's like, I don't remember, I don't recall. But he remembers very specific things. He remembers where the footprints were, what his initial, okay, when Lolly first asked that question about what disturbances did you see in the snow, his answer he started with was that there was no footprints that looked like it was leading to the house. So, okay, that's not what you were being asked. Interesting that that's how you start your answer though. Right. And then you have how far was he from the road? And he's like approximately 20 feet. We know they never measured it. There were a handful of other questions he was able to answer, but the vast majority he doesn't remember. So I think it's interesting when you think about the things he somehow remembers versus the rest that he doesn't. Anyway, you guys can draw your own conclusions there.
Now, Officer Saraf, about how long was it that you were on scene?
I'm going to say about an hour and a half.
And at some point, the fire department transports Mr. O'Keefe from the scene. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And do you know to what facility he was transported to?
I don't recall where they went.
Yeah, there you go.
And after Mr. O'Keefe was taken away by the fire department, as far as the three females, Ms. Reed, Ms. McCabe, and Ms. Roberts, do you know where they went or what they did following that?
They, after talking to Sergeant Good, they left in their car. I don't know where they went. The car that was there, they left.
Now, at any point in time that you were on scene before they left, did you have any conversation with any of the three of them?
I asked them, where were they? What happened? What were they doing?
And who specifically did you talk to, if you recall?
Well, I asked Ms. Reed, and she couldn't really tell me too much about what happened. Ms. McCabe said that they were drinking in a couple bars downtown.
Let me just stop you before, as far as, so just sticking with Ms. Reed, you asked her what happened and you indicated she didn't really tell you much.
No.
Why not? What was her condition like at that point?
She was very upset.
So the same upset that you were describing earlier, did that sort of continue throughout the time that she was on scene while you were there?
I would say yes.
And at some point, did you speak to Ms. McCabe without
That's
reference to
supposed
what
to be
she told you?
weird that she was
I'm sorry.
upset. I
At
don't-
some point while you were on scene, did you speak to either Ms. McCabe or Ms. Roberts without reference to what they told you?
No. I mean,
Let me rephrase.
rephrase, yeah.
At some point when you were on scene, did you have occasion to have a conversation with Ms. McCabe?
Yes.
And at some point when you were on scene, did you have occasion to have a conversation with Ms. Roberts?
I didn't speak with Ms. Roberts, I don't believe.
Was there someone else from your department that was speaking with Ms. Roberts on scene?
I believe Sergeant Good or Officer Mullaney was.
It's one of the other two officers over there.
Correct.
Now, following Sergeant Good's arrival, who, if anyone else from your department, arrived on scene at some point?
Detective Lank, Detective Sergeant Lank, and Lieutenant Gallagher.
And if you know, when was their arrival in relation to sort of when you arrived?
It was light out, so I want to say maybe 7 o'clock-ish.
And so for the period that you were on scene, you said it was about an hour and a half. Is that correct?
That's about right.
The weather conditions that he described sort of when you first arrived, what, if any, change
Oh,
occurred in the weather conditions from the time that you arrived and the time that you left?
The conditions lightened up a little bit. I mean, it was still snowing, but
Still snowing, still cold, correct?
that's correct.
The winds, was that still persistent as well?
I would say yes.
Snow. There's snow.
Now, at some point after Ms. Reed, the defendant, left the scene, did she come back?
She did.
And do you know how long a period it was that she was gone between when she left and when she came back?
Just a few minutes.
And do you know why she came?
I don't know.
And when she returned to the scene, who, if anyone, did you speak with her further at that point?
No.
Who, if anyone, did you observe her to be speaking?
I don't recall.
Now, the initial ambulance that showed up took and transported Mr. O'Keefe, is that correct?
That is correct.
Now, after that ambulance left and Ms. Reed came back to the scene, what, if any, other apparatus from the fire department arrived on scene at that point?
Another ambulance came.
And who, if anyone, went in that ambulance for transport?
They took Ms. Reed to the hospital.
And do you know what hospital that she went to?
I don't recall.
This is so stupid. Like, why?
May I have one moment?
Yes.
Are you fucking done for the day, Lolly? You useless lolly bird, you.
Okay, can we dim, please?
We are having some video.
Now, also, Sarah, do you recognize what's depicted up on the screen as exhibit number 8?
Yes.
What do you recognize that?
It's,
Pictures.
the house,
right?
34 Fairview.
And that's the house that you responded to on that date, is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah.
And what's contained in that photograph, is that a fair and accurate portrayal of what you observed roughly when you arrived on that date?
Amazing, right? I forgot about this. Because so it was so interesting, right? The different parties and the pictures they chose to admit of the house. But look at this one. Like, first of all, like, it's obviously not filling the screen, right? Like, they made it especially skinny and cut off the rest of the yard. I mean, probably to try to make this look smaller. Like, that's crazy. It's crazy that you would even admit this into evidence. Do you guys agree, or what do you guys think?
May I approach you?
Yes.
Don't let your attention to this. This is just a laser point. I'm trying not to point it in the eyes. Basically, this button here, you just click on that. And we'll shine where you want. So from this photograph in exhibit number 8, sir, where Mr. O'Keefe's body was when he first arrived, is that visible in this photograph or no?
No.
I'd say it would be over more to the left.
Yeah, it's not visible
Okay, so further off to the left, is that correct?
That's correct.
because this is too narrow, Lolly. Your useless photo
Before
is too
we
narrow.
get to that, just briefly, Ms. Gilman, if I could have exhibit number 13.
Exactly. Well, there's the file explorer again.
Clerk, please, Marks, thank you. Now, Officer Saraf, do you recognize what's contained in this exhibit number 13?
It's a street.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, that's a valid answer, because how the fuck is he supposed to know what street this is? This could be literally anywhere with snow.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
Fair
fair
enough.
enough. Lolly.
Sorry.
Exactly, Kitsman. Visible in this photograph. No. So why use this photo? Yeah.
So what I placed before you was exhibit 13, is that what's up on the screen?
Useless.
Yes, this is.
And is that a fair and accurate portrayal of what Fairview Road looked like around the time that you were dispatched and arrived on scene?
Yes,
Absent the lighting condition.
I mean,
you
how
mentioned
do
it
we
was
know
dark when you
Fairview
arrived.
Road?
That's correct.
So this is sometime after when the sun is coming.
correct.
If I could ask you to flip to the next exhibit number 14, if I could have that one soon.
For real.
And again, officer, what's up on the screen? Is that what you have before you as exhibit 14?
Yes.
And
I mean, speaking of the one definitely not even close to enough blood. I mean, look at this. You can barely even see it, man. When is that photo from? Who took it? Yeah, kids don't get caught up on the details, man. None of that stuff matters. Who cares? Well, we're lucky if we even get a picture that can be identified as anything even remotely relevant as to what it is. Those are just the little details. Who cares about that? It's just, it's just evidence in a trial,
Testifying earlier about sort of footprints in and around where Mr. O'Keefe was. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And what's depicted on the screen in exhibit number 14 is that fair and accurate portrayal of the footprints that you were talking about?
Yes.
May I approach the witness?
I can't
Yes.
see any footprints. It just looks like snow. I mean, maybe there's like one footprint here on the left.
So now I'm showing you what's been marked as exhibit 18.
Oh, God.
Thank you, Ms. Cameron. If you can mark that just a little bit. Thank you so much.
Why aren't they doing like a
Well,
panorama?
in this photograph, well, first and foremost, do you recognize what's depicted up in exhibit 18 on the screen here?
Yes.
And this is 34 Fairview Road, correct?
That is correct.
And in regard to, you had mentioned some sort of landmarks off to the left side of the property,
Right.
facing the property from the street, correct?
Yes.
And if you could, using that laser pointer that I placed up there before you, if you could direct the jury's attention to first those landmarks that you observed. I'm sorry, officer, if you could, while you're.
Oh, sorry.
If you could just describe what you're.
So there's the flagpole right there. There's a bush there, and right there, I believe, is the
Oh,
fire.
oh my God. I'm remembering. Do y'all remember the laser pointers and how it was just like a constant struggle, like the entire trial of like the batteries rolls? I think even in the retrial too, right? Eventually, I believe they kind of gave up on them because it's like, first of all, you can't really see them anyway because of the green. So, but they're like the batteries were always dead and like all that,
So where in relation to this photograph, if you can see it here, was Mr. O'Keefe's body when you first got it?
He's right in this area right here.
Now, if I could turn back just a moment, when you indicated that you were coming up to the scene and you could see the three females sort of waving and Mr. O'Keefe on the ground, correct?
That is correct.
Well, how far away were you from them when you first observed them or first saw them?
About 20 feet or so.
I do.
And when you are driving down Fairview, if you could describe to the jury, where is your direction? Sort of, where are you directed? As far as if you're driving a vehicle, are you looking straight in front of you, or are you looking out the window, a combination of both, or?
I was looking for the house numbers, trying to find the house where it was, and I saw the motor vehicle parked on the side of the road.
And that sort of leads to my next question, sir. So what did you see first? Did you see the vehicle parked in front of you, or did you see the people off to the side of
I saw the vehicle.
May I approach this retreat now?
Yes.
Do you want this?
So, Officer Saraf, you had testified earlier in regard to a camera within your cruiser, correct?
That's correct.
And subsequent to that day, have you seen the video of your arrival to the scene from the cruiser camera perspective?
I saw it once.
Okay. And Your Honor, I would seek to introduce in a minute as the next exhibits the cruiser camera stream one from cruiser 683.
Or is there an objection? Okay.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I can reach across. I'm sorry for the back and forth, Mr. Officer. If I could ask the lights.
For fuck's sake, Lolly.
Ms. Gilman, if you could play what's now been marked as exhibit 25. And if you could just pause it right there, Ms. Gilman. Officer Saraf, what's up on the screen? Is that what you recall as far as the sort of visibility and roadway conditions when you first left the church parking lot?
Yes.
And this is you sort of leaving from the church parking lot as you're going to 3450, correct?
Yes.
Now, there are a number of different sort of things up on this screen. There's an indication as far as the speed that the vehicle is going, correct?
Yes.
And where is that located, if you could, with the laser pointer there?
Sorry. Whoops, sorry.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Now, along sort of the bottom of that particular video, there's an indication as far as mic, brakes, lights, sign, correct?
Correct.
If those are activated, is there any sort of change in sort of the pitch in there? Does it change sort of color or anything like that you're aware of?
I don't know.
And the 683 on the bottom right corner, is that the cruiser that you were in that day?
Yes, that's correct.
Now, as far as sort of the top middle of this video, there's a date and a time. Is that correct?
That's correct.
As far as you're aware, that date and time that's up there, that's accurate to when this occurred, correct?
Yes.
So we're sort of looking in real time, correct?
Correct.
So, Ms. Newman, if you could just let it run for this. Ms. Newman, I'm sorry, if you could stop this briefly. So, Officer Saraf, this road you're traversing at this point, this is Washington Street, is that correct?
That is correct.
And at some point, you're going to then travel through and then take a right onto Fairview, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. If you could, just for the jury's sake, as you approach Fairview and as you're taking that right turn, just direct their attention to the fact that that's when you're turning on Fairview.
Sure.
Ms. Gilman, you can go ahead.
Okay, we're going to go ahead a little bit because if y'all remember, this goes on for a while before it's even like relevant. Okay, let's see.
So this right here is Chapman Street.
Yeah, Chapman Street. We don't need Chapman Street. Okay.
At some point, if you observe the point at which you believe you sort of illuminated your spotlight on the side of the cruiser, if you could just speak up and draw the jury's attention to it.
Yeah, this is, they don't need to be playing all this, guys.
I'm sorry, if you could just sort of run it from this point to about the 4-minute mark, and then I'd ask you. Your left as far as the 3 females waving,
Okay.
and Mr. O'Keefe on the ground, correct?
That is correct.
And if you could, just using that laser pointer, direct the jury's attention to number 1, where the vehicle is that you observe in front of you, and then number 2, where you observe the 3 females and Mr. O'Keefe on the ground.
So here's the vehicle right there, and the females are right there.
Okay, so now, Ms. Gilman, if you wouldn't mind just running this straight through until about 7.5 minutes.
Oops, sorry. I think what we'll do is when we get to the end of this, we'll do a brief little story that I've been meaning to tell you guys from working in the law firm that you guys will love. I've been saving this one. Ha! That's a good point. So I do have this sped up, but I believe we've all seen this like a bazillion times. So if anyone is new to this trial, we can watch it at normal speed, but I doubt that anyone is in that position. So, and it'll be played a bunch more times ad nauseum to the point of being redundant, I would say, throughout this trial. I feel like it definitely was not played like in the second trial. They definitely didn't. It was not as redundant on this as it was in the first trial. Cumulative, really. This was played a million times in the trial. Definitely more reasonable, I think, than the second one. Like, I mean,
One moment, Your Honor.
Sure.
this might be it for the end of day one.
I have no further questions for this witness, Your Honor.
Thank God.
All right. Will there be a cross-exam? Because this may be a good time to stop if there is.
There will be a cross-examination.
Okay. So jurors, we're going to stop for the day. I have to caution you those same 3 cautions. Please do not discuss this case here or read anything about this case.
We're coming to a sidebar.
Thank you very much. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right, please.
All right. Could I see counsel at sidebar for a moment?
There it is. Could I see counsel at sidebar? All righty. So let's just unshare, reshare. Do 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 do. Okay. Perfect. So yes. All right. So here we are, this sidebar, the last sidebar of day one. So there's the court. Could I see counsel? Sorry, I didn't even do a song. Sidebars roasting. Oh, we did that one yesterday. We can't do that one again. Let's see here. Sidebar time, sidebar time, sidebar time, sidebar time. It's sidebar time in the trial. Okay. The court. Could I see counsel at sidebar for a moment? Whereupon there was a sidebar conference as follows. The court. So do you expect to have Detective Link tomorrow? I'm sorry. Do you expect to have Detective Link tomorrow? Wally, no. Judge Bev. Okay, because whenever he testifies, I'd like a voir dire on the issue of the prior allegations. Lolly, sure, the court. So just give us enough of a heads up. Lolly, I would say Friday at the earliest. The court, okay. Who do you have tomorrow just because it helps me prepare? Lolly, sure. So tomorrow I think we will just continue with Officer Saraf. Then we have Officer Mullaney. And then essentially it's going to be a number of firefighters like Nuttall. I think Nuttall comes the next day. That did not come out of my mouth the way I intended it to. Anyway, the court, okay. Mr. Lolly. So we're going to have Timothy Nuttall. There it is. Anthony Flamati, Matthew Kelly, Francis Walsh, Katie McLaughlin, probably depending on how far we get with all of that. I'm not sure how much cross there is for those people, but I think it would be Gregory Woodbury, then Daniel Whitley. And I'm not saying we'll get into all of these tomorrow, but these are basically, I'm going through the paramedics that dealt with Mr. O'Keefe. Yeah, we don't need all of the paramedics, but you know what? He doesn't understand that concept. And then I'm going through the paramedics that dealt with Miss Reed. Jesus Christ. The court, okay. Lolly, Mr. Whitley and Mr. Becker would be the last two there. The court, all right. Anything regarding any of that testimony that you expect limiting instructions on or any evidentiary issues that we need to be concerned with? Mr. Yannetti, I don't think so, Judge. Lolly, I think even exhibit-wise, for the most part, it would just be run reports and a lot of the same photographs. He's literally explaining why this is all cumulative, right? A lot of the same photographs as far as where the body was when they arrived and that kind of thing. The court, all right. So anything that needs to be pre-marked will be marked tomorrow morning. Lolly, that's fantastic. Wow, that's enthusiastic of him. Yannetti, 9 o'clock tomorrow, and we will be here at 8:30. The court, we will start at 9. Yeah, right. They never started at 9. Y'all know. And be here at 8:30 if you want anything marked. Mr. Yannetti, of course. The court, we need one person from each side. Mr. Yannetti, of course. I appreciate it. The court, all right. Mr. Yannetti, thank you, Your Honor. Lolly, thank you, Your Honor. And then whereupon the court adjourned. So that is the end of day 1, and we're going to get into day 2. But first, as promised, we're going to have a quick little side tangent for this story I've been saving. I've been saving this one. So for anyone who didn't know, so I'm the paralegal for 2 separate defense attorneys. They have their own firms, but we're all in the same office, and they are amazing, and you guys would love them, and they are legit. You know, so it is epic as fuck, and and it's like doing all of the things and putting all of these things to use, like in a real way, like every day. And it's incredible. But here's the little story I was going to share. So, okay. My birthday was October 23rd, and that was a Thursday. And I wouldn't even remember anything about this. I'm not a person who celebrates my own birthday. I just ignore it. The only thing is that what happened on this day made it really memorable, and it was really funny. And so now I will remember. So on that day, one of the 2 attorneys was in court for what was like supposed to be some sort of hearing. And I don't know what, it was just supposed to be like a hearing, right? For one of his clients who was charged with, I think it was assault on a female, which is a really common charge in North Carolina. It's a first degree, it's an MA1, which means it's like above a first degree misdemeanor, and it's not expungable. And there's a lot of things that go into that, you know, the degree of that charge. And so, maybe someday we'll take a side tangent into how much I hate that statute and how sexist it is and all the problems with it. But we're going to save that for another live stream, because I could go, I have a lot to say about that. Anyways. So, this client had been charged with that. And so, okay. So let me back up. So this particular case, and I'm not getting into any specific identifiers, obviously, right? But in this particular case, there's a video that was really important that kind of showed the event in question. And so maybe a month or 2 before October 23rd, this attorney that I'm referencing here, my attorney that on this case, I didn't know anything about this client, know anything about the case. He was like, just watch this. He was like, will you watch this video? He didn't give me any background. He was like, just watch this video and then tell me what you think. So that I was just like giving like an objective view of what the video looked like to me without knowing any information. Right. And so I watched the video, and then I told him what I thought. And he was like, yep, that's what I thought. And essentially the standpoint was that this video would convict our client, and that it made him look guilty AF, right? Like this video was like, we got to keep this video out. Okay. Now here's the thing about the video. There was not really a good way to authenticate it, right? So as you guys know, that's a problem, right? Like there was not a good authenticating witness. The timestamp was off. It was also sped up, and that was the only version that was available, was a sped up version. So there were a lot of problems with this video. So so part of like going into this hearing or whatever, I think was supposed to be trying to keep this video from coming in, you know. And this particular client didn't want to take a plea deal. He wanted to take this to trial because he was like, I'm not guilty. Okay. So all that to say that on October 23rd, you know, they go in for this hearing, and then I get a text message from my attorney right around lunchtime. And he was like, so we're going to trial today. Now we're going to trial now. Like we're breaking for lunch and then we're going to trial. And I was like, oh, it's surprise trial day. Cool. And so, so he comes back in a quick little whirlwind, comes back to the office real quick and has me, pull up some different case law. Basically it was like all hands on deck, like the other attorney in our office, right? Like he was helping, I was helping, and we were like trying to get some stuff ready because it was surprise trial, right? And so we were trying to get all this stuff ready. And basically, you know, this attorney of mine was like, if this video comes in, we're fucked. Like this, we got to keep this video out. Like that's the only hope. Okay. So he's like, okay, got to run, goes back to trial. Right. And so we're basically, essentially the standpoint is, right, that this guy's going to get convicted, right? I mean, that's like what's going to happen. That's like as y'all know, like in state courts, it's something like 96% of defendants that take their case to trial end up in a conviction, right? So it's almost like you can just assume that, right? Like that's a safe assumption with maybe only a few exceptions. Like it's the odds are against you, right? And that's even if you don't have a damning video that's going to come in. So, and also the alleged victim was going to testify, right? And in this case, it was like his ex-wife or something like that. The dude's ex-wife, okay, was like the victim, okay? And so anyways, so, which that's a whole other story, right? Because as y'all know, people will wield the law to punish people. We see you guys are all well aware. We see this all the time, not just in family law, but even in other things. And that's part of one of the many problems I have with this assault on a female charge that North Carolina has, because a lot of times we see this being weaponized. Anyhow. So, okay. So also just quick little thing too, I should add, North Carolina is one of the few states that has like citizen's arrest. So add to that the fact that, whenever there's like this assault on a female charge, it's never reported by law enforcement. Like the individual goes and they can file charges, and just by reporting from whatever whatever they say, their statement of whatever they say happened. And because of that, they file those charges and it's automatic jail time. We're gonna, like I said, we could do a whole other stream on this thing. Okay. It's a whole thing. So anywho, all right. So basically, so this attorney of mine, he's back, you know, he's doing this trial or whatever, right? And we're just expecting a conviction, right? Okay. So, and we thought it would be quick, right? And like the hours are going by. It's past 5 o'clock. It's past 5:30, right? The courthouse closes at 5. And we're like, we haven't heard from him. And I'm like, what's going on? And finally at like 6:30, they stayed late. 6:30, I get a text message from this attorney of mine, and it was 2 letters in all caps, NG. Not guilty. So he tells the story up to us the next day of what happened. And it was wild because the video came in. Like he tried to keep the video out. The video came in and it was like, okay, we're screwed, And then basically the video is what ended up saving him, because they found that the video was, even though it was allowed to come in, right? They found that the video couldn't be trusted and that it didn't show what the girl alleged, and that the girl who was testifying, the ex-wife, was basically exaggerating and this and that. And it was an NG. And so because of that, I got to file for the very first time. So I file expunctions all the time, every day. Usually it could be for convictions, but oftentimes if it's it could be for dismissals, convictions. But what you don't see very often, and what I got to do because of that, was I got to file this, an expunction for a not guilty verdict. And I could cry just thinking about it. I have never been so happy. I got to file an expunction for a not guilty verdict. And it was expunged. And he went on to live his life, and he took a bunch of selfies with this attorney that I'm referencing. So that was the Thursday, okay? I'm saying all that for a reason, because come Monday, it gets better, guys. It gets better. It gets better. Come Monday, okay? The same attorney knew that he was headed to a more significant trial that was going to be starting on Monday. Now, let me set the scene for this trial. This particular trial was in the next county over, and it's like basically, how to say this, low population. It's considered to be kind of country, not a lot of people. And so all I will say as far as this particular case is that when you think about, if you guys imagine, of all the different crimes, right? What are the crimes that are gonna be most likely the jury's gonna hate you right off the bat, right? Like, to where there is an assumption of prejudice against the defendant for these types of crimes, okay? Like the jury hates you. Like, you don't even have to get into it. Like, the jury, like, it's the only thing that maybe in some ways could be considered worse than murder. And in North Carolina, it can result in like the same type of sentence for these types of crimes. You gotta get worse. Yeah. MCAT, I'm looking at the chat. MCAT, you're on, I don't want to put this on screen, but you're on the right track. And then Kit Smith's, yes. So we're talking badness, okay? Badness. And so, yeah. And also shout out to anyone who's just now getting here. I think Kane got here. Shout out to Kane and anyone else who's just now arriving. We're telling some quick law firm stories. So this was another one, right? Where again, you assume conviction, right? Like my attorney was like, I'm not going to lose any sleep over this. Like, this is just, it is what it is. I'm going to give him the best defense I can, but like, right? And meanwhile, you're going to have the victims testifying now that they're grown, they're older and whatever. And okay. So, and then add to that, right? The county, that it's in this county where it's like the worst case scenario, where it's like, these are the type of people that would be the quickest to convict for anything, right? We're talking again, like country. I don't want to use derogatory terms. I don't know. You guys hopefully can imagine what in the South, country in the South. Okay. Country in the South. So Monday and Tuesday are jury selection. And then the trial starts on Wednesday with opening statements. And this attorney of mine, sometimes you guys will hear defense attorneys say that they're not going to do an opening statement, but he did an opening statement. He did. And so, basically, I've got it saved in my text messages because the hours matter here. Let me see if I can pull that up. But basically, the trial itself lasted after they sat a jury, right? Monday and Tuesday. The trial itself was like Wednesday, like the one full day, basically, right? And so let me pull it up. So, oh my God, I'm looking at this. This is crazy. This is crazy. Okay, I'm gonna have to go through this in chronological order. I'm looking at my text messages. And so, okay. So, man. So then at the end of the day on Wednesday, there it is. I've got the text message. Or sorry, it actually was at 12:10 p.m. on the Wednesday. And then I got a text message from my attorney. Jury just got the case. So maybe they started on Tuesday afternoon then with opening statements. So he said at 12:10 on Wednesday, he was like, jury just got the case. So they chose not to go to lunch. They wanted to start deliberating. Okay. That's the first thing. All right. Then, and so we were all joking. Okay. We were making jokes about how quick is this verdict going to be? We were like 14 minutes, 7 minutes. Like, how quick is this guilty verdict going to be? Okay. Like, just like, it's going to be a guilty verdict. Okay. And so, so then at 2:00, I texted him and I said, verdict yet? He said, nope. And I started getting kind of nervous here at this point. And then this attorney of mine said closing was good, but he's still going to be convicted. Okay. And I was like, even though we're prepared for conviction, I'm still nervous as hell for the verdict. And then he said, yep, they were out for an hour deliberating and then asked for a quick lunch and then starting again. And then at 4:17, I said, update. He said, still out. And I was like, incredible. And I was like, is the court going to send them home at 5 or let them keep deliberating? And then he was like, no, they can keep deliberating. And I said, if they keep deliberating past 5, I'm coming there. So I literally started driving out there to the courthouse in county over. And then when I almost got there, he was like, they've just gone into recess. And I was like, no. And then he said they're going to resume deliberations the next day. So at this point, they'd already been out for several hours. Okay. And so then I surprised him by showing up in court. Like I was like, I asked permission from the other attorney. I was like, can I go? Because it was real life verdict watch, guys, in court, literally. Like, so I showed up and surprised him at like 9:30 the next day. And like, this was a long time. I mean, guys, how many, at this point, they went out to start deliberating at 12:10 the day before. Okay. They took like an hour lunch. They stayed there like past 6. So that's like 5 hours or so. Okay. And then here we go. And then we're thinking, okay, well, maybe then they're going to have a verdict when they first come in. Nope. And it's like, how many murder trials have we watched where we get there's a conviction in less than 3 hours, less than 2 hours, less than 1 hour in Lori Vallow's case, right? Like, this is crazy. And so I should also note that this case, there were several charges. There was like the lead charge, right? And then there were like some lesser includeds. And so this attorney of mine was sure that they were going to convict on the lead charge, which would land, he would life in prison. Okay. For this dude, no parole, life in prison, no parole. He was sure they were going to convict on the lead charge and that they were probably, what was taking so long was that they were hung on the list lesser included. I had a gut feeling that it was, and I don't know why, I had a gut feeling that they were acquitting on the lead charge and hung on the lessers. I don't know why. And so I got there and I sat there from like 9:30 until like the jury went to lunch, and they went to lunch late. They deliberated until like 2:00. And I was like, this is insane. Like, what is going on? And so finally I was like, well, I got to go back to work. I expected a quick verdict in the morning, which is why I went. I was like thinking I'll go and like, there'll be a verdict and then I'll come back to work. So I was like, all right, I guess I'm headed back to work. And so I showed back up at the office and I'm like, no, nothing yet. And it was like, this is craziness. Okay. Of all of the things. And so finally at 3:00 on Thursday, they got a verdict. And here's what it was. It was hung on the lead charge, okay, and then guilty on the lesser included. And you guys know what this means because the state has the choice. Are they going to retry, just like with Karen Reed, right? Are they going to retry on the one charge that they were hung on, right? And so I tallied it all up, and it was 7.5 hours for deliberation. And then I looked back, and the actual trial testimony of like the actual trial, including closing arguments and opening statements, was 6 hours. So think about this. They deliberated for 7.5 hours. The entire trial, not just the evidence, but including opening statements and closing arguments, was 6 hours. Unreal. And for something like this, when I talk about the attorneys that I work for, nothing is a testament to when I say that they're amazing. This is the testament to that. Like nothing, I can say those words. This right here is unheard of. Okay. And y'all, I mean, you guys know that. So it's like unbelievable. And so, but it gets better. So they were hung on the lead charge and then guilty on the 2 lesser includeds, which were only like, you're looking at like 5 years for those versus the lead charge was like life. Okay. And so then Chris, okay. So then after all that, so then he's leaving the courthouse and the jury goes up to, they want to talk to him. They want to talk to him. They saw him out and they wanted to talk to him. Can you believe it, guys? And so they said this. They said we were all guilty, pretty much like on the guilty side, but your closing argument completely changed our mind. And here's the other thing. As far as the being hung on that lead charge, right? Check it out. It was 10. So they had 12 jurors, right? They had 4 alternates, 12 deliberating jurors. It was 10-2. But guess what? It was 10 not guilty and 2 guilty. Not 10. Not, so the opposite of what you usually have. 10 for not guilty, 2 for guilty. So they were hung because there were 2 people for guilty. He was almost acquitted on that lead charge, this client. Amazing. I mean, unbelievable. And I literally texted him and I was like, where is it? Let's see here. Because I ended up making him a big poster for it. Basically, I'm trying to see here. So I was basically like, and maybe I said it over the phone. I was like, you know what? You have just proved that a verdict is it's never just a foregone conclusion. Like proving to the world that's not just a foregone conclusion of an automatic guilty verdict. Like absolutely mind-blowing. So that was back to back, the not guilty verdict on Thursday. And then this trial where jury selection started on Monday. And then it was ended up being exactly a week later, Thursday was when they finally got the verdict for that case. Now, unfortunately, the state was like, we would retry on the lead charge. And I was like, this is so dumb. Like, think about it, right? When we assess these things, right? It's like, okay, if you're the state, it's like, oh, it was 10-2, 10 for not guilty, 2 for guilty. And you want to go back again just for the one charge, just for the lead charge when he got convicted of the lesser includeds. Like, this is insanity. Like, I thought it was really dumb. I was really pissed off about it. And like, basically they ended up just negotiating it out through sentencing and it got all resolved in some fashion that I'm still not happy about, because I think that the state was sort of just like leveraging this when basically part of the problem was there was a lot of inconsistencies in the testimony. And, my attorney was like, if we were to go back for another round, it would be even worse for the state. But anyway, it is what it is. And it's all, the client was happy with what they ended up negotiating on sentencing. But just on principle, I was like, dude, state, really? Really? It'd be one thing if it had been 10-2 for guilty, but if it's 10-2 for not guilty, but that was, the fact that the jury like wanted to talk to him and tell him like, you did so amazing. And your closing argument just like completely obliterated like a lot of the states. Anyway, so isn't that amazing? It was a good jury. I literally couldn't be happy, especially in that particular county. Absolutely amazing. They understood the assignment. I just have to reiterate, 7.5 hours of deliberation for 6 hours start to finish for actual trial is unbelievable. And especially with these types of charges, and especially in this particular county. So these life lesson exactly. So these two defense and honestly, my other defense. So it's 2 defense attorneys, right? They're both equally as amazing. It's just that the other attorney hasn't actually had, I guess, a trial. I don't think he's actually gone to trial since I started working there. But yeah, they're. Like, it's just like they're legends. They're absolute legends. And I don't know how I got so lucky to be working for them. Why didn't they trust the video? Are you talking about for the first case I was referencing, the one with the assault on a female? That was the one with the video that was like sped up and the timestamps were wrong. And like, there were a bunch of issues with like, they couldn't be authenticated, but yet, of course, the judge let it in anyway. And it was so funny because like, everyone was thinking like the video is going to convict him. The video is what got him acquitted. As far as the second case, the one I was just referencing, the one that was much more serious charges, there wasn't video of the event in question. There was there was some video of the victim being interviewed, I guess, by like their first interview or something like that. But there was a lot of weirdness there. Like one of the things that my attorney did on in closing was like he pointed out all the inconsistencies of her interview versus her testimony and numbered them. And there was like 36 of them, like 36 complete blatant like contradictions. And that was one thing that the jury told him was like super effective. The other thing, there was a lot of weirdness because where this event happened, it was like at the victim's house, and it was like a really small house, and there was like 20 to 30 like people there. Like her whole family was there for like there was all these people around, but yet there was no wit. I don't know. There was some weirdness to it. You know, it's one of those things where it's like you're only going off of what one person said, and I'm not trying to, you know, anyways. It's so hard to get an acquittal or even just like a hung, you know, like a not get a verdict on a charge that, as we know, right? It's like for that to happen, that's the whole point of the system, right? Far more often than not, I'm sure there's people that probably should have been acquitted of certain charges that get convicted. I mean, we know that to be the case. So I trust the jury. That they were like, there was only 2 people on that jury, 2 that thought that he was guilty of the lead charge. So that says a lot about, you know, do they trust the victim or do they not trust, you know what I mean? So anyways, it's yeah, never underestimate hillbillies who care. Exactly. So, yeah, Twiz. So yeah, the video from the first case it was sped up. It was glitchy. The timestamp was off and there was nobody to authenticate it. Like no one even knew where this video came from. I don't even no one knows where this video came from. It was like, I have no idea if it was just on somebody's phone, but like there was no one to come in and authenticate it. You know how that has to, because it's hearsay, right? You have to have somebody come in and authenticate it and get, normally the way these things come in is like a business records exception, you know, done in the normal course of business. They authenticate it by saying, yes, this is reliable, da, 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 da. You know, again, you can't take Karen Reed as an example because, you know, if you look at that case with all the Lolliport and videos, chuck that out. Most of the time in trials, right, you have to authenticate this stuff to get it in as evidence. It's an anomaly when that doesn't happen. Where was the video from? It was from like the parking lot, wherever the alleged, you know, he was acquitted, so the jury didn't buy it, but like what would have been an alleged assault, whatever. I don't want to get into the details of it, but to call it an assault is really kind of an exaggeration in my personal opinion. Yeah, he didn't beat her up. No, he didn't beat her up. I wish I could, I can't get into details, but they were all friendly and hugging. Okay. And it was like a friendly interaction. And then there was like one little gesture that was hard to see that could have been interpreted a number of different ways. Okay. And again, this is the ex-wife of this client. The ex-wife claimed it was assault in some fashion. And that's basically it. But it's in the eye of the beholder because like I said, that video is what got him acquitted. So yeah, it didn't have any metadata, no metadata. No. Far from it. So anyways, but this was the best thing for me. Filling out this, filing this expunction for not guilty was just, you know, like I said, I don't care about my birthday at all. I just prefer to ignore it. But because of that not guilty verdict, I'll like never forget that particular, like I actually care. I was like, oh my God. And what's really funny is they didn't know it was my birth, like my attorneys, I didn't tell them, they didn't know. So it wasn't until after the fact that I was like, yeah, just so you know, that was my birthday. And like, what the craziest thing, like that not guilty verdict coming on my birthday. And then they were all like, oh my God, we didn't know it's your birthday. I'm like, I know, I don't tell people, but like, that is the only thing I could possibly have cared about, you know? So, okay. Anyways, that being said, we're going to jump into day 2. All right. I just have to unshare, reshare. I hope you guys liked the story time. Yay! There's more stories where those came from, but I've been saving those for quite a while, back from October. Okay. Let's jump right on in. There's our OnlyFans. Let's see here.
I appreciate everybody's
Okay.
commute today. Took everyone, I'm sure, a lot longer than we all anticipated. But we thank you for being here promptly. I do have to ask you those same 3 questions. Was everyone able to follow the instruction and refrain from discussing this case with anyone yesterday? Everyone said yes or nodded affirmatively. Were you also able to follow the instruction and refrain from doing any independent research or investigation into this case since we left
Why
yesterday?
can't
Everyone said yes or nodded affirmatively. Did anyone happen to see, hear, read anything about this case since we left yesterday?
you can't speed it up?
No or shook their heads. All right, thank you very much. Could we have Officer Saraf, please?
I don't know why we can't speed it up. I'm gonna see if I can find another feed because that doesn't make any sense.
Mr. Jackson?
Anything that you would like to change or amend?
Okay, so basically,
or modify?
where we are here, we finished day 1 with Officer Saraf, right? Okay, he's the first responder to the scene, and we finished direct, and now we're on cross of Officer Saraf. And I'm gonna see if I can find one that.
About your testimony yesterday that you thought about overnight?
No.
Did you discuss your testimony with any person between the time you got off the
Boy.
stand yesterday and coming back to the courtroom?
No.
Officer Saraf, I want to ask you a question about, or a couple of questions about something called a dispatch log. You know what a dispatch log is?
Yes.
What is a dispatch log? Can you describe for the viewers?
Just notes saying what time calls come in, and sometimes a short synopsis of what happened on the call.
It's an official document generated by the Canton Police Department.
He's correct,
correct.
man.
It's kept in the ordinary course of business.
Yes.
It's
There it is,
created
authenticating
at
it.
or near the time of the event that it's recording,
Yes.
and it's supposed to be accurate.
Yes.
Is that yes?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
And in fact, what it has is the dispatch details of the event that's in question. Whatever officers show up, what time they show up, the order in which they show up, the location to which they're dispatched, things of that nature, correct?
Yes.
Have you looked at the dispatch log in this case?
No, I have not.
May I approach you on it?
Yes.
This has been pre-marked as Exhibit 27. Take a glance at that and tell me if you recognize that document.
Yes, sir.
How do you recognize it?
It looks like the log in question.
Oh, okay, so that's the dispatch log for what date?
The 29th.
Do you see your name somewhere on that dispatch log?
Yes.
To the right, one of the 3 officers that was called to the scene.
Yes.
And that looks like the dispatch log for the call out that you were testifying about yesterday. Is that right?
That's correct.
May I approach you on it?
Yes.
Why?
May I publish this as we
Yes.
discuss it? That is really small font. May I approach one more time?
He needs
Yes.
to make it bigger.
This is not an eye contest.
Thought it would not.
Eye exam, I should say. Oh, look at that. The magic of technology. All right.
I'm checking a bunch of different feeds, and for some reason, none of them have any ability to put this on any different speed. I don't understand that. Let me see if I can find another way. MCAT, well, remind me what you do again for your job, but I'm glad you love your job. I mean, it's not a job, it's not like, I always think of like, oh, it's like going to work because that's like what you say, but it's like, it's not work. I absolutely, being able to, I don't know. It's absolutely, it's what I was doing, like studying law and like, obviously just, anyway, all the things I was doing anyway, just because I enjoy it. Right. But like, going there and like being able to actually help people in real life on a day-to-day basis and like see their cases through from start to finish is amazing. Fire department administration. Wow. So do you take any 911 calls or anything like that? Or interesting. You work with 92 firemen. That's amazing. I'm sure you've got some good stories too. I don't know why. Let's see.
You can either look up on the screen or look at the dispatch log that's in front of you. I'll try to look at the one on the screen, but my eyes aren't that great either. If you look to the right, there appear to be 3 entries for the dispatch of the officers that were on the scene about which you testified yesterday, correct?
Yes, sir.
And in fact, it has this dispatch log shows that you and then Officer Mullaney and then Sergeant Good all arrived to 32 Fairview that morning within 7 seconds of each other, correct?
That's what it says, yes.
It actually has Officer Mullaney arriving first at 6:09:26. You see that?
Yes.
And you see that it also has 3 seconds later at 6:09:29, you arriving. Is that right?
6:29 it says. Excuse me, it's 6:09, yes.
6:09 and 29 seconds.
Yes, I'm sorry, yep.
That's okay. And then it has Sergeant Good arriving 4 seconds after you at 6:09 and 33 seconds, correct?
Sure, yep.
So all 3 of you, according to the official document generated by Canton Police Department for this event, has Officer Mullaney arriving first, you arriving second, Sergeant Good arriving third, all within 7 seconds of each other, correct?
Correct.
That is completely false, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, you've looked at your dispatch, your dash cam, correct? And clearly, we saw it yesterday. You arrive and there's nobody else on scene.
Correct.
That was at about 6:10 a.m. that you arrived, correct?
About that, yes.
And then Officer Mullaney actually arrives after you about 6:11 a.m. Is that right?
Yes.
And Sergeant Good does not arrive, according to your own dash cam, until about 6:16, a little after 6:15.
Give me just 1 second. I think I might have figured out a way where I can speed this up, but I just have to unshare, reshare so I can refresh it. Give me just 1 second. Let me just try this real quick because it just feels so grueling. You know what I mean? Let me try something here. Let me refresh it. I think I may have figured it out. Hold on. Let me see something here. Yes. Excellent. Okay. Let me put it back on. Woo. We win. We did it. We did it. Yeah. All right. Cool. I outsmarted YouTube.
In the 2 times that you were asked to reflect back on exactly what happened that morning, on January 29th
That's
and
right.
January 30th,
It
both times,
does.
you attributed only 3 words to my client having been repeated continually in her distraught state. Is he dead? Right?
Yes.
And she wasn't saying that calmly. I'm assuming.
Nope.
In fact, you used the word she was severely distraught. Is that right?
That's correct.
When you say severely distraught, we saw part of that on your dash cam. She was emotional.
Yes.
Upset.
Yes.
Focused on John.
Yes.
Trying to save his life.
Yes.
And asking, what was the question that she asked?
Is he dead?
Over. And over.
Is he dead?
Correct.
Right. Right.
Then you were asked to testify in April of 2022, April 14th of 2022, at a state-run grand jury by the Commonwealth.
Yes.
In fact, Mr. Lally was the fine prosecutor who was asking you the questions, correct?
Yes.
Between the time you wrote your report on January 29th and you gave a statement officially on January 30th, between that time and when you testified in April of 2022, do you have any meetings with anybody from the Massachusetts State Police?
No.
Do you have any meetings with Mr. Lally?
No.
Did Mr. Lally put you on the stand without talking to you first?
No. For this trial?
Nope. I'm just the dates in question are up to April 14th, 2022. At grand jury.
I don't recall.
You don't recall if you met with either Mr. Lally or any of his contemporaries to discuss your potential testimony?
Not. I don't recall meeting with him for that. No. One time I met with him in his office was a couple of weeks ago with this.
In preparation for this testimony?
Correct.
But your testimony now is that he didn't meet with you or you did not connect with him to discuss your testimony before
Right.
the April
That's
grand
right.
jury?
I don't recall.
So you
Shocker.
did testify in that grand jury.
That grand jury testimony
changed your
always
story.
get you.
No,
You believe you testified completely consistently at that grand jury as you had in your report?
I testified for what I remember what happened, sir.
I see. Was your memory
That he's setting a trap, right? I mean, this officer should know that it's a trap, and no matter what, you're going to lose.
better in April than it was minutes or hours after the event?
Was it better?
Was it better or worse?
I don't know. I don't know.
Oh shit, you guys!
Do you think your memory gets better as time goes on?
Not usually.
Oh my God, the theme of the second trial with Nuttall and everything, right? With the whole memory. I forgot this came up here. Let's hear that again.
I see. Was your memory better in April than it was
Me.
minutes or hours after the event?
Was it better?
Was it better or worse?
I don't know. I don't know.
Do you think your memory gets better as time goes on?
Not usually. No.
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 Usually it's the opposite, isn't it?
Yes.
Memories get foggy, they fade.
Yes.
Which is why you write reports the day of the incident, if you can, correct?
If you're going to write it,
You remember what you testified to at the grand jury in April of 2022?
The whole thing?
No, sorry, that was a bad question on my part. Just as it relates to statements attributed to my client.
Yes.
What was your exact
oh
testimony
boy,
in April of 2022?
I'd have to look at my.
Would it refresh your recollection if you saw a
let's
copy of your
refresh you.
grand jury transcript? May I approach?
Yes.
Approach.
Let me know once you remember, once you review that and tell me if that refreshes your recollection.
Yes, it does.
In fact, on April 14th, 2022, months after this event, for the first time, you said, quote, and these are your words, tell me if I get them right. She, this is my fault. I don't know. She said, I can't believe this happened. I mean, she kept asking if he was going to die, if he's dead. And, I just basically said, we're doing the best that we could, end quote.
That's correct.
May I approach?
Yes.
So in April of 2022, for the first time, you attributed the phrase, this is my fault. I can't believe this happened to my client, correct?
That's correct.
But nowhere in your official report did you say that.
That's correct.
And nowhere in your interview with Trooper Proctor the next day did you say that.
That's correct.
You think that was a pretty important omission on your part?
It was an oversight.
An oversight
Yes, sir.
that a woman
Lord.
whom you made contact with, standing over the body of a fallen police officer, said to you, this is my fault. Just missed that.
Yes, I missed it. Yeah, I didn't write it down.
And then, of course, you testified yesterday, and your statement changed again, right?
Shit.
Remember what you said yesterday? These yours?
I don't word for word.
Oh my God.
Well, I wrote it down. Let's see if this helps.
He wrote
You
it.
said, my client said,
Wow.
quote, it's all my fault. I did this, end quote.
Yes.
Remember that? Yes?
Yes, sir.
I just have to say
say that
that was masterful the way that okay. First of all, that this officer obviously didn't write anything down. They don't, we know. They don't write things down. Second of all, that his testimony from just the day before, which is like in the Commonwealth's opinion, probably some of the most important part of their case, right? This whole I hit him type of thing that morphs over time, as we all know, and starts out with whatever he testified to. It's like, and he also, I will just say, he repeated it 3 times because I even made the joke about it being in threes. Like, is he dead? Is he dead? Is he dead? He said it 3 times. But I remember what he testified to. But he's like, oh, I don't remember what I testified to. But then just the icing or the cherry on top is like Alan Jackson coming in like, I wrote it down. like, see what happens when you write things down? Like, here's what you said. Because since you don't write things down and you can't remember, I mean, masterful.
Theory.
Rule of 3.
And you didn't say that to Trooper Proctor,
No, sir.
and you didn't put it in your report.
That's correct.
If you were to testify in another 2 or 3 weeks, you think your
Ooh.
statement would just keep evolving?
Sustained.
Sick in a good way. Whatever the kids say.
Now I want to shift gears for a second and talk about what Ms. Reed actually said that morning. You said that you reviewed your Dashcam video, correct?
Once.
Do you remember when you arrived? One of the
What?
first things out of your mouth was the question, what happened?
Yes.
That would be a natural question to
Sure.
ask,
Yep.
right? You assess the scene and assess the situation.
Absolutely.
And you would want to listen closely to what that answer was, correct?
Sure.
Ms. Reed did in fact answer you, didn't she?
I don't recall what you said.
She said, quote, my boyfriend, I left him and he never came home, end quote. Correct?
I don't know. I don't recall.
You agree, we've already agreed, that details matter in any investigation. They
Absolutely.
certainly matter in this investigation, correct?
Yes, sir.
I'd like you to take a look at what's been pre-marked as Exhibit 26. This is about the 3:50 runtime. I'm not looking at the actual. I'm not looking at the actual time of day over here. I'm looking at the runtime, which is down at the bottom. So if Mr. Bates, you could put this about 50 mark. Awesome. Just to orient everybody, does this appear to be your dash cam?
Yes, sir.
Same dash cam you were looking at yesterday?
Yes.
Okay, let's go ahead and play Mr. Bates. Awesome. Officer Saraf, just like it's not an eye exam, it's not a hearing exam either. I'm going to do the best I can to raise the volume. And Officer Saraf, I want to focus your attention, if you wouldn't mind, on 9 seconds after you say what happened. Just count in your head and listen very, very carefully to a woman's voice.
Do we know he can count to 9 though? That seems like it's asking a lot of them.
Awesome. Very, very hard to hear. Have you listened to that before?
Hard to hear.
Does it appear to you that she said, my boyfriend, I left him and he never came home?
I couldn't understand anything.
All right, we're gonna see what we think. I'm gonna back it up and I'm gonna put it on normal speed. It's very hard to hear. Those of you guys who have like special listening devices, maybe you can weigh in on this. Okay, let me see here.
Nine seconds
Right.
after you say what happened. Just count in your head and listen very, very carefully
Okay.
to the woman's voice that responds to what she says. Go ahead.
Right. Cat.
Awesome. Very, very hard to hear. Have you listened to that before?
Sorry, MCAT wins here. He can count the minutes to break time. Brilliant. Let's just back that up one more time.
Very carefully to the woman's voice that responds to what she says. Go ahead.
I can't make that out. I can't make that out.
Very, very hard to hear. Have you listened to that before?
No.
Does it appear to you that she said, my boyfriend, I left him and he never came home?
I couldn't understand anything.
Okay.
Same.
Let's replay it one more time. Turn the volume on one more time right at that moment. Listen for a woman's voice just under. Sorry. I was asking Officer Saraf, please listen to, there's a din of noise, obviously, road noise, wind noise, etc. It's your dash cam,
Yeah.
the audio from your dash cam. Once you close the door, listen very carefully, about 9 seconds after you say what happened, for a woman's voice, and see if you can make out what that voice says.
Sure.
Stop. Did you hear? I left him and he never came home.
I couldn't understand what they were saying.
You couldn't understand that?
No.
You want to hear it one more time?
No,
I don't think it.
no.
Sorry,
Turn the lights on, please.
that question, Bev, that wasn't to you. That question wasn't for you. What?
Stop. Did you hear? I left him and he never came home.
I couldn't understand what they were saying.
You couldn't understand that?
No.
You want to hear it one more time?
No,
I don't think it.
no.
Okay, so he didn't. If he had said to the court, can we play it one more time or something like that? Then her saying no would have been okay. But he said he was talking to the witness. Do you want to hear it one more time? And Bev said no. Unreal. So sounds like we're going to have a sidebar.
Turn the lights on, please.
Happy to see you.
Now, if my client had said, my boyfriend, I left him and he never came home, would that be something that you would find important to put in your report?
Objection.
He doesn't see the
Sustained.
report, so that's irrelevant.
Let's move to another area of the dash cam video. I want to keep playing it at the
Also, that objection. Okay, let me back it up. Let's talk about that objection. And we can also put it back up on speed.
Now, if my client had said, my boyfriend, I left him and he never came home, would that be something that you would find important to put in your report?
Objection.
Sustained.
So the objection there would be speculation. However, it's really not speculation. I mean, are we surprised, right? It's like a lolly objection that the court sustains, but I don't think it's, of course, since he doesn't have to state the grounds, right? So she can just sustain it and then never have to make any reasoning for it. But the objection would have been speculation and it's not founded to sustain that. So Jackson specifically said if Jackson had said the question like this, since the video says da-da-da-da-da, the statement, right? Since the video says da-da-da-da-da, and then it asks the question, that would be different because then there would be a valid objection there to facts, not evidence, right? Counsel's testifying. But he said if. An improper hypothetical, I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's not like there's not like a legal definition of that I'm aware of. I'll look it up. I mean, basically the question is like, think about it, right? We hear this all the time in trials, including this trial, but not all the trials, right? It's like, if fill in the blank, if XYZ was important, wouldn't you put it in your notes, right? Think of like with anything, they always ask that question. If you thought it was important, wouldn't you put it in your notes? That's like a normal line of questioning that we hear all the time. So this is no different than that. It's if that's what was said and that you thought that was important when you put it in your notes, right? Let's see.
Let's move to another area of the dashcam video. I want to keep playing it at the 28-minute mark, 28-minute and 20-second mark or so.
So can I see counsel at sidebar for just a minute, please?
There's the sidebar. So, and there is an improper hypothetical. See, it's so funny because I'm like so much focused on the North Carolina specifics in terms of the rules of evidence, but the improper hypothetical, too speculative. So that's not really, okay, it's just too speculative. Well, that's just an objection speculation, right? I don't think there needs to be a distinction because it's like if it's speculation, it's okay. It looks like usually I guess there would be a distinction between expert witnesses and lay witnesses because expert witnesses can give hypotheticals, but that wouldn't be relevant here. But yeah, but back to like what I was saying too, like we hear that question all the time with law enforcement, right? They're in every trial, they're like, if that was important, don't you think you would have put it in your notes, right? Don't you think you would have documented that? It's like a normal thing. But guess what? It's beginning to look a lot like sidebar time. All right, sidebar time, guys. Time for another sidebar. Let's go. All righty. The court. May I see counsel at sidebar for just a minute, please? The court. So typically we play something only once. What trial are you at, Bev? Have you met Lolly? Okay. So typically we play something only once. You played it twice and you were ready to play it a third. I'm sorry. I can't. You need to ask permission to do anything like that. Okay. Jackson says, sure. the court says, you can't just keep playing things twice. Okay. All right. So you said we're going to keep focusing on the 26 or whatever it was. Are you planning on showing it for a second time? Jackson says, this one, it's hard to see the first time. I'll do my best to highlight what I'm asking him to look at. I may ask to play it twice, no more than twice. The court, what is it? Jackson says it shows Jennifer McCabe pass by an SUV and go into the house. The court, can you freeze it as it goes on instead of showing it twice? Jackson says, I will. Like, is she like worried about time here? Because are you joking me? Like, this is unbelievable. You know, we're going to really see in these sidebars just how much, if any, how many times, if any, was Lawley ever reprimanded for his redundancy? I mean, because as far as what came out in the first trial in terms of out loud that we heard, there was the one moment of, I think we've heard enough about shoveling the apron. But I have to say, that was after that had been testified to by like 17 witnesses in a row. Okay. So anyway, we'll we'll see how deep the bias goes here. All right. Can you freeze it as it goes on instead of showing it twice? Jackson says, I will. The court says, once you show it more than once, it gets to argument. Okay. Unreal. Jackson says, I'll do my best. It's like, if this was me, I would be thinking in my head, I'll do my best not to strangle you. Like, dude, how these attorneys kept their cool with her, I'll never understand. I don't have any type of temper, but I'll tell you what, my patience would be gone with her very soon. The court, so just once. You know, it's like, see, again, like my instinct, my inclination would be to like, every time Judge Bev lets Lawley do something multiple times over, would be like, hey, court reporter, Madam Court Reporter, hey, can you just pull up what Judge Bev just said there? Like, can you pull up what her honor, what was it that her honor said at line 1 on page 4? I mean, they wouldn't have this all done up, but basically, you know, can we check the FTR here? What was it that her honor said? Just once. Like, just, okay. Just once. All right, guys, just once. You heard it there first. Back to trial. Oh my God. Oh, you know, the thing is that I think is going to happen here, for whatever feelings that any of us might have anyway, like had about Judge Bev, I think that I think what's going to happen with these sidebars is we haven't seen anything yet. And I'm a little bit worried for our sanity collectively, if it's worse than what we saw in trial. And I'm thinking it will probably be worse than what we saw in trial. So good night, Kat. Love you. Hope to see you on New Year's Eve for our marathon sidebar stream. Woo! Oh, right. So they're at sidebar, so we can.
You see the car, the left of the screen.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you looked at Sergeant Good's dashcam video, which is squared up on the right side of the screen?
No.
You've never seen it?
No.
Okay. Does it appear to you that these
I
are
don't know,
two
you're
different
referencing
perspectives of the same scene? In other words, you see the car or the SUV on the left side of the screen right here, correct?
Yes, sir.
See that same SUV right there, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Does that appear to be two different perspectives, two different angles,
Yes.
but basically the same thing?
Yes.
Okay. I want to draw your attention to the individuals to the left of the SUV right here. There's a person wearing a hood with fur on it. Is that Carrie Roberts? Do you remember?
I don't know.
Okay. There appears to be another person with a darker jacket standing just in front of that person with the hood and fur. You see that person?
I can hear her sighing.
Yes.
Just.
I'm going to ask you to focus on the person in the darker jacket.
Sure.
I believe, and the only reason I'm asking you to.
Oh, sorry. I need to update this because that was our first sidebar of the day. So I need to update this. So sidebar wins. So I would say, so first of all, part of the difficulty here is that Judge Bev is calling a lot of these sidebars, right? So Lawley, the Commonwealth didn't object to any of this questioning. It was Judge Bev intervening. So I don't think we can actually put this on the ticker because it wasn't Commonwealth versus the defense. It was Judge Bev versus the defense. And I didn't account ahead of time for the fact that I probably needed to put Judge Bev on here and include her in the running. Maybe I should just go ahead and add her. What do you guys think? Should I go ahead and just add Judge Bev since she's decided she's a party in this trial? She's, her own party. Like, let's add her to this. Because essentially that was a sidebar that she called for her own objection, right? And she won. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Should I just add her to the thing? Okay, it looks like we will go ahead and just, I mean, because the fact that she calls so many of these sidebars herself, she really is inserting herself as like a, like a party. So we'll go ahead and, I mean, honestly, I'm sure there's been more that she's had so far, but we're going to just count it from here. It'll be interesting, even given that she's got, what do you call it? Like a handicap or whatever, like she's starting late to being on the scoreboard here. It'll be interesting to see how she does. So Judge Bev, so far has 1 win. There we go. Okay.
To focus at this point, because I want to try to play this just once and see if you recognize what's depicted in the video.
Sure.
What I expect you may see is this person move out of sight behind the SUV, and then in the background there's an SUV parked in the driveway. Pay special attention to that portion of the SUV and see if you see that person in the dark jacket pass from right to left in front of that SUV as if they're going to the house. Let's go ahead and play it. Go ahead and pause it. Have you seen the person in the dark jacket leave the view?
Yes.
Did she appear to go behind the SUV?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead and play it. Go ahead and stop track. And now I'm going to ask to draw your attention to that car with snow on it. Pay special attention to that car as the film continues to run. Go ahead. Pause. Do you see a person standing in front of the car?
It appears to be a person. Yes.
Walking from right to left?
Yes.
Would that be toward the house?
Yes, it would be.
Okay. And also, if you wouldn't mind switching your perspective, now you're looking more at the front of the house. Continue watching the film and see if you see that same person walking toward the house. Okay, stop. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see. Oh, yeah. Yes, I saw the shadow. Yes.
Right. Shadow
Yes.
walking toward the front of the house. That was Jennifer McCabe going into the house, wasn't it?
I have no idea.
Was it a person going into the house?
It was a person. Yes.
Did you give anybody any permission to go into the house?
No. Not
Oh boy.
Would you think that a witness in a homicide scene, we can go ahead and raise the lights, thank you. Would you think that a witness at a homicide scene being allowed to go into a house to make contact with other witnesses?
I didn't know it was a homicide scene, sir.
If I could finish my question.
Oh dear.
Do you think it's appropriate for a witness at a potential homicide scene, an unconscious person scene, whatever, crime scene?
Yes.
To make contact with other witnesses and begin discussing
There you go. Crime
the
scene.
situation
Perfect.
unsupervised?
There you go.
Can you rephrase that question, sir?
Do you think that's an appropriate thing to have happen?
I have no answer for that, sir. I don't know what you're asking.
Officer Saraf, when you go to a crime scene,
Yes.
one of the first things that you want to do is secure the scene and separate witnesses so that interviews could be conducted, correct?
Sure.
You wouldn't want witnesses just cavorting together and getting their story straight, right?
Correct.
You want to
Willy-nilly.
avoid that at all costs, right?
Yes. Yes.
And why is that?
So they can't collaborate their story.
Yet there was a person walking from the area where a body was found in the lawn of a house, walking into the house to make contact with other individuals, correct?
It appeared that way, yes, sir.
Does that seem appropriate to you?
No.
Of course not.
Oh. Well, at least he answered that one correctly.
We've talked a bit about what you did and didn't hear at the scene from my client. At any point when you were at that location, did you hear my client repeating the phrase, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him?
She said, I hit him? No, I didn't hear that part.
You never heard her whisper it, yell it, say it, or otherwise?
Not that I recall.
If you had heard that statement, you likely would have written it down, wouldn't you?
Aha.
You likely would have reported that to trooper proctor.
Again, so this is very similar to the example I was giving, where it's like, if you'd heard that, you would have written it down, wouldn't you? But yeah, no objection on
The
that.
next day, wouldn't you?
Yes.
You likely would have mentioned it in your grand jury testimony, correct?
Yes.
And you did none of those things because you did not hear that statement, correct?
I did not hear that. No.
Sir, you were at 34 Fairview for more than an hour before you cleared the scene, right?
Yes, sir.
You were at the location of the body of John O'Keefe.
Yes.
In other words, you just didn't stay in your cruiser. You walked out to where John O'Keefe was.
No, I was in my cruiser at different times. I
Must have been a bad question.
Okay.
You didn't just stay in your cruiser. At points, you got out of your cruiser, walked over, made contact with the women, and you were standing next to the body.
Yes.
And you were obviously looking around. You noticed some footprints.
Yes.
And you even noticed a lack of footprints.
That's correct.
So you were being observant at the area of the body
Yes.
and the area adjacent to the body.
Yes.
You were looking for anything that might have been out of place?
Yes.
Anything of any evidentiary value, correct?
Yes.
You never saw or otherwise observed, located a single piece of taillight material, did you?
No.
You certainly didn't see 45 pieces of broken plastic or taillight material, did you?
No.
You never located or otherwise observed John O'Keefe's missing shoe?
No.
Or any other clothing of his?
I didn't. No.
Officer Saraf, did you ever think to look inside the house?
No.
That missing
Oh.
shoe?
No.
That never crossed your mind?
No.
You think that might have been a smart thing to do at the time?
Objection, Your Honor.
So this is the first time the jury is hearing about whether or not anyone looked in the house. Because remember, this is the first law enforcement officer they're hearing from. He was the first officer on the scene. He's only the third witness. The first two witnesses were Paul O'Keefe and Aaron O'Keefe. So at this point in time, the jury probably is assuming that they went inside the house and searched the house because that would be a normal thing. But this is the first time that they're hearing. And honestly, it's one of those things where like the Commonwealth probably should have gotten ahead of that, right? But you know, they didn't. So
Rephrase the question.
Sure. Do you think that would have been appropriate protocol when dealing with a body laying on a lawn that is partially unclothed to look inside the house of the lawn?
No.
You didn't think that would have been appropriate protocol?
No.
For you or anybody else?
No.
wow.
Obviously, you did not conduct a search of that house, did you?
Nope.
And you're aware that to this day, no law enforcement officer ever conducted a search of
Damn.
that house?
I'm not aware of.
Oh man.
Just moving on.
Yes.
Okay, just a moment.
No further questions, Joe. Thank you.
Anything, Mr. Lally?
Briefly, Your Honor.
Okay.
Can you say briefly? Oh, here he comes. Redirect. Redirect, guys. Here comes the lolly word.
You were asking questions and you were shown a dispatch log, is that correct?
That's correct.
And dispatch log, as far as the Canton Police Department is concerned, are you aware of sort of how or when or who creates that?
Yes.
And can you explain to the jury sort of how that document sort of comes into being?
So when a call comes in, an officer is at the desk, and usually the first thing they would do is dispatch, get people going to the scene, and get everybody rolling as far as if they need FD, police, whatever resources they need, and basically then type in what the call is and who's going.
So fair to say it's more important to get assets allocated to a scene, especially in the case of an emergency, which is why someone's calling 911, than to ensure that the dispatch time is correct down to the second.
Absolutely.
Now, you were asking questions about different things that you heard the defendant say, correct?
That's correct.
And you were shown specifically some grand jury testimony from April 2022, in which you indicated during that testimony that the defendant stated, "This is my fault."
Yes.
And is that based on your memory of what she said?
Yes.
And you also testified yesterday along the same lines, correct?
Correct.
What you testified to before this jury, as far as your memory, is that accurate as to what happened on that scene, January 29, 2022?
Yes.
Now, prior to this call, did you know Kerry Roberts?
No.
Did you know Karen Reed?
No.
Did you know John O'Keefe?
No.
Did you know Jennifer McCabe?
No.
Based on what you've seen as far as the dash camera, would you be able to differentiate between Jennifer McCabe or Kerry Roberts from that dash camera footage?
No.
While you were on scene, did you see anybody from 34 Fairview Road from that address come outside?
No.
Did you see anybody from any address on that entire street for the entire 90 minutes that you were there come outside?
No.
Now, you were asking questions about some different addresses on Fairview, whether they be 32 or 35. Do you know where either 32 or 35 is located in relation to 34?
It would be next to each other in sequential order.
Nothing, please.
Nothing, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, you're all set, officer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Mr. Lally, who is your next witness?
You're on the phone with the call officer, Stephen Mullaney, to the stand.
Okay.
Stephen Mullaney.
Pausing it real quick. I'm looking for something here for Twiz. So I think what Twiz is referencing, and we went through the vast majority of this. I think we were almost finished with it, but let me see here real quick. I think where this was at was somewhere in here. I mean, it's been referenced. So what Twiz had said here was, where is it? Doop, 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 doop. I saw something about them saying they knew who did it now. That I think that initially came up in this complaint, and then it was referenced in the House defendant's response to the complaint, or maybe potentially with like interrogatories. But let me just see if I can find it real quick in here. Because I don't think it's quite that. I don't think it's quite that explicit in terms of like, we know who did it. I understand how maybe that is how things got interpreted, kind of like the game of telephone. And that's also how it was reflected from the House defendants on purpose, being like, you know who did it, say who it is or whatever, right? But let's just see if we can find where maybe that came from real quick here. Yeah, like, so for example, right here, the House defendants responsible for Mr. O'Keefe's death, some of whom had professional experience with police investigations, conducted a plan to, but the House defendants, there's like, it's like all of them, right? It's the whole group. So it's not specific. In other words, my interpretation was not that they're like, we know who did it. It's like, they're saying it was the House defendants collectively. And I think that's accurate, right? Like they all, like one or more of them or all of them were a part of it, right? And so it was from my opinion, misconstrued on purpose by the House defendants in their response to be like trying to act like they're too chicken to name who it was or something like that when that wasn't what they said. It's like misconstruing their words, if you will. Like it's the House defendants. Like literally everything is the House defendants. In fact, when we were going through this, I even had a counter for how many times they say House defendants because it's really funny. I'm just seeing if there's anything like they go hard on Proctor, they go hard on Jen McCabe, but like the whole group. I mean, really, it's the House defendants as a whole. Jurisdiction venue. So as far as like, and just to reiterate, so who are they naming, right, in this complaint? Michael Proctor, Hugh Buchanan, Brian Tully, Brian Albert, Nicole Albert, Jen McCabe, Matthew McCabe, Brian Higgins, and they made clear that, where is it? They intend to also bring into this lawsuit the Massachusetts State Police and the town of Canton, right? But there was a rule there in Massachusetts that you have to wait a certain period of time to bring them in. So so as far as this, right, obviously the House defendants would not be Proctor, Buchanan, and Tully, but everybody else. So Brian Albert, Nicole Albert, Jennifer McCabe, Matthew McCabe, and Brian Higgins. Those are your House defendants. So they are referring to the House defendants as a group being responsible, if that makes sense. Hopefully that helps. Carrie Roberts in the basement with the candlestick. Oh my God. Okay, so who is the next witness? Let's see here. Bam, bam, bam.
Just make sure you speak.
And how are you employed, sir?
I am employed by the Canton Police Department as a patrolman.
How long have you been a patrolman for the Canton Police?
Since July 2020 and a full-time officer since August 2021.
And if I could call your attention to the evening of January 28th, 2022 into the morning of January 29th, 2022. Were you working on that occasion?
Yes, I was working the 11:45 p.m. to 7:45 a.m. patrol shift.
Here we go.
And were you dispatched to a call shortly after 6 a.m. on the 29th?
Yes, I was.
And where were you dispatched to and what was that in regards?
34 Fairview Road for a unresponsive party.
Now, if we could turn back just for a second, as far as
it was a man.
As far as a patrolman with Canton Police, are there different sort of geographic sectors within the town to which you're assigned?
Yep, I was assigned.
He asked this to the other dude. Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, literally, he asked and answered from the other guy. Cumulative.
Into the east sector.
And is Fairview Road within that east sector?
It's the west sector.
So you were assigned to the east sector, but dispatched to a call in the west sector. Is that
Correct.
correct? Do you know why that was?
Yes, east. The east sector backs up the west sector.
Prior to this, on the 28th, going into the 29th.
Why don't you hold on a minute for that? Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Lally.
Oh, thank you. So on the 28th, going into the 29th, what, if any, awareness did you have as far as the weather forecast or sort of what was?
Here we go with the weather.
We were around midnight, it began to snow.
And that's why you're on shift, is that correct?
Yes.
When you're on shift and you're on patrol, particularly when there's a weather situation as far as snow or something like that, what is it that you're doing on patrol?
Well, I stayed in the parking lot that shift, so didn't get stuck anywhere.
And as far as the snow that was predicted and the snow that fell,
For fuck's sake.
how much precipitation, what kind of a storm?
Oh my God.
Well, by the morning it was pretty heavy snow.
And by the morning, by what time?
Around 6 a.m.
So by the time
I have to say that given there's already been the opening statements And given what already came up about the level of snow from the first three witnesses, Paul O'Keefe, Aaron O'Keefe, and then Officer Saraf, I think at this point, if I was on this jury, I would be like, why are we still hearing about the snow? Unless somebody's going to testify to something completely different than everybody else about the level of snow, as far as the Commonwealth witnesses, like, why, like, they've got to be so over it. And it's so crazy because this is just the beginning of this.
You were dispatched to that call. We were just talking about the snow was picking up and getting heavy.
Yes.
And as you were, so you were at the station when you received the dispatch, is that correct?
Correct. Yes.
And where is, well, about how far away is Fairview Road from where you were at the station?
Mile and a half, 2 miles.
And can you describe to the jury sort of the route that you took going from the station to Fairview Road? That
Yep.
way?
I took a right onto Washington Street from the station, and then I took a right onto Dedham Street from Washington Street, a left onto Cedar Crest from Dedham, and then a left onto Fairview Road from Cedar Crest.
And so Fairview Road runs sort of between two
Right.
other more
Covered this
major
already.
roads. Yeah, fair to say.
Yes.
So
And you mentioned Cedar Crest, is that correct?
Yes.
And Cedar Crest is off of Dedham.
Correct.
And so what is the other sort of major road on the other sort of intersecting side of Fairview Road?
Chapman Street.
So when you're coming from Cedar Crest onto Fairview, about how far into Fairview is 34?
2 houses down on the right.
So the house would have been on your right, is that correct?
Correct.
And in addition to yourself, who, if anyone else from your apartment was dispatched to this call as well?
Officer Saraf.
And who, if anyone, arrived first?
Officer Saraf had arrived prior to my arrival.
And
no.
Officer Saraf, as far as which direction was his cruiser facing? The same as yours, directly at yours, or something else?
I don't recall.
You recall seeing Officer Saraf during your en route time sort of between the station and arriving on the scene?
I do not know.
Now, as far as when you're driving from the
Useless!
station to the scene, what, if anything, do you recall about sort of the road conditions, visibility, anything like that?
Visibility was difficult. I don't exactly recall how far you could see, but it was definitely coming down.
And at this point, January 29th, just after 6 a.m., what is sort of the lighting conditions? Has the sun come up yet? Is it dark out, or what's going on?
It was still dark out.
And if you recall, what was sort of the vehicular traffic on the roadway between the station and your arrival on?
The vehicular traffic. So y'all are familiar with the goat, the OG goat, right? We also have the Halloween goat, which plays the very beginning of Bach here, the toccata and fugue. So essentially, while it is a Halloween themed goat, it is now my favorite because of Bach. The vehicular traffic is just painful. It's like I want to laugh, but I can't because it's too painful and I hurt.
Fairview Road.
I don't recall there being any traffic.
Now, as far as when you are coming to the scene, do you recall whether or not you had to activate sort of your lights or your sirens or anything like that?
I believe I would have used the blue lights.
Do you recall using sirens?
I do not recall whether or not I used sirens.
And if you know, about how much time elapsed between the time that you received the call and the time that you arrived on Fairview?
3 minutes approximately.
And when you arrive there, what, if anything, is sort of the first thing that you see?
I saw Officer Saraf towards like the front lawn, kind of surrounding the victim. There's a couple other people as well. And the fire department was on arrival right about the same time.
And so, beyond yourself and Officer Sarah from the Canton Police, were there other sort of town assets that were dispatched to this call as well?
The fire department.
And when you say the fire department, how many sort of vehicles or what was their response as far as?
I believe they had a fire engine and ambulance.
And do you recall if the fire ambulance, fire engine and the ambulance came from sort of the same side as you from Cedar Crest, or did they come into the scene from the same from the opposite side as far as from?
I think they had come down Chapman Street to Fairview and they were facing towards Cedar Crest.
Brilliant.
Now, so you arrive there, you see Officer Saraf and people from the fire department, correct?
Yes.
And you indicated that you saw a person on sort of person on the ground. Is that correct?
Yes.
And just for clarity purposes, at some point subsequent to this, you were able to identify the person that was on the ground. Is that correct?
Yes.
That was John O'Keefe. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And where the other people that you indicated were there, where were they in relation to John O'Keefe?
I think I don't really recall where everybody was upon my arrival, but I think everyone was kind of like in the vicinity around the curb to the street.
Now, as far as when you're first arriving, you're pulling up to the scene, were you able to see Mr. O'Keefe on the ground at that point, or did?
I saw people around him, but I had to get closer before I saw the victim on the ground.
And so the other people that you saw around him, were they kneeling down, standing up, or something else?
I believe Officer Saraf was still standing up. I don't recall anyone else.
And so fair to say you saw Officer Saraf standing up near Mr. O'Keefe before you actually saw Mr. O'Keefe, right?
Yes, yes.
Now, this particular area where you saw Officer Sarah standing up and Mr. O'Keefe, Officer O'Keefe on the ground, what, if any, sort of additional ambient lighting did you observe in that area? Was there any street lights or anything like that around there?
Not that I recall.
Now, in addition to Officer Saraf, at some point did you encounter some other individuals or civilian people on scene?
Yep, Miss Jen McCabe.
And in addition to Miss McCabe, were there any other female?
You know what?
Yeah, Carrie Roberts.
I have to say also, the Halloween goat here, they actually did this in the right key. This is actually in D minor, guys. This is the actual correct key. I have to just, like, that is really impressive because so many times something like this would just, they wouldn't even pay any attention. This is in D minor right here. That's your D right there. So well done, makers of the Halloween goat. I just had to make sure I appreciate that on live stream for the record for the goat makers. Well done. Also, D minor is my favorite key.
And in addition to Ms. Roberts, was there any other female parties there?
Yes, Ms. Reed.
And just to be clear, you see Ms. Reed in the courtroom today?
True.
Yes.
And could you identify as to where she's seated or an article of clothing she's wearing?
Black dress.
That's the record reflect identification.
Yes.
Now, prior to this call, did you have any prior sort of familiarity with Karen Reed?
No.
With John O'Keefe?
No.
With Jennifer McCabe?
No.
With Terry Roberts?
No.
And when you arrive and you make those sort of initial observations, where is it that you go? What, if anything, do you do?
The fire department began their life-saving measures, and at one point we were able to get him onto the stretcher, or onto a backboard, I believe it's called, and then onto a stretcher.
And what, if any, involvement did you have with that?
I assisted the fire department in placing him on the backboard and then helping get him onto the stretcher.
Now, as far as you mentioned that the where you came and located Mr. O'Keefe, do you recall sort of what position his body was in when you first observed him?
He was lying face up, as was back on the ground.
And
Y'all, it seemed like he almost said face down. Hold on.
where you came and located Mr. O'Keefe, do you recall sort of what position his body was in when you first observed him?
He was lying face up, as was back on the ground.
And
Hold on. One more time on normal speed. Okay.
where you came and located Mr. O'Keefe, do you recall sort of what position his body was in when you first observed him?
He was lying face up, as was back on the ground.
Maybe he didn't almost say down, but he did kind of have to think about it. Also, y'all thought Lolly was bad. Like, we've been listening to this at 1.5, and it sounds normal to me, like in terms of the pacing. On normal, actual normal speed, though, like just for a second, let's appreciate.
And do you recall where he was in relation to the roadway, if you could tell?
It's just not, it can't do it. Can't do it. All right.
Yeah, he's on the front lawn. So, I didn't know exactly where the curb was, but I would think about, approximately 10 feet from the curb.
And so you
Didn't Saraf say 20 feet? Pretty sure Saraf said 20 feet. Pretty sure Saraf said 20 feet. Because I made the joke about how nobody measured it. Y'all, do you guys remember? Saraf said 20 feet. He said 20 feet. 100%. Oh, man. That's quite a difference, 10 feet versus 20 feet. I mean, wow. Unreal. If it was like 20 feet versus like 18, but 10 versus 20? Yikes.
mentioned that you couldn't tell exactly where the curb was. Why is that?
There was snow on the ground.
So the snow sort of covered
There
the
was
curb at that
snow.
time that you're there, is that correct?
Yes.
Right.
But you approximated it was about 10 feet into the lawn.
Yeah.
And the snow on the ground that you observed at that time when you first arrived, about how much snow had accumulated on the ground?
I'd say at that point, approximately 6 inches.
And what, if any, snow did you observe on any part of Mr. O'Keefe's body when you first saw him?
There was really no snow, but you could tell that he had been in the conditions. It was almost as if it was like water, kind of like frozen on kind of to his face.
There was really no snow, but you could tell he'd been in the conditions. one thing I will say about this first trial is that not all of these witnesses, and thank God, testified in the retrial, but this would be one of those witnesses, right? Where it's like in hindsight, it's like maybe there's these like little gems, you know what I mean? And it's like, let's just listen to that again.
But you approximated it was about 10 feet into the lawn.
Yeah.
And the snow on the ground that you observed that time when you first arrived, about how much snow had accumulated on the ground?
I'd say at that point, approximately 6 inches.
And what, if any, snow did you observe on any part of Mr. O'Keefe's body when you first saw him?
There was really no snow, but you could tell that he had been in the conditions. It was almost as
I don't know, just doesn't.
if it was like water, kind of like frozen on kind of to his face.
So water, you mean melted snow? It wasn't raining, right? It was either like as we know, it was like not snowing and then it started snowing. So either, okay.
And did you make any observations?
Right.
Or any observations did you make beyond his face as far as sort of the rest of his body?
I don't recall really any other observations.
Do you recall how he was dressed?
I do not.
Doesn't recall any observations. Just like the other officer, both of them. No observations about what he was wearing or how he really looked. Let's see here.
Do you recall what if any snow was on the other part of his body?
I do not.
Now, as far as Mr. O'Keefe was,
You would think that the first responders would be paying attention to the victim in some way. This is mind-boggling, guys. And like, we know it's bad, but this is crazy. Thank you, Kitsmits. We sure he's a good judge of how much 6 inches is. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's like 10 feet versus 20 feet, 6 inches versus 3 inches. Big difference, right?
concerned, what, if any, observations did you make as far as any injuries to Mr. O'Keefe at that initial time?
I did not recall any injuries.
12 inches. Also big.
So nothing stood out to you, is that correct?
No, correct.
No, I'm sorry. I'm talking over this insanity. Let's hear that again.
Face as far as sort of the rest of his body.
I don't recall really any other observations.
Do you recall how he was dressed?
I do not.
Do you recall what, if any, snow was on the other part of his body?
I do not.
Now, as far as Mr. O'Keefe was concerned, what, if any, observations did you make as far as any injuries to Mr. O'Keefe at that initial time?
I did not recall any injuries.
So nothing stood out to you, is that correct?
No, correct.
What is happening? I feel like are we being punked? Like, what is happening? To quote Andrea Burkhart, inches matter. Yes, they do. Just ask her. That is hilarious. I love her. I am baffled in new ways with this. New ways than even what was before.
And you assisted the fire department getting onto a backboard, correct?
Yes.
And where did Mr. O'Keefe go from there?
To the ambulance.
And did you go to the ambulance as well?
Not that I recall, no.
So fire department sort of takes over care of Mr. O'Keefe at that point.
Yes.
So after Mr. O'Keefe is lifted up, when he's lifted up, what, if anything, did you observe as far as the grounds that had been underneath Mr. O'Keefe and where he was?
I didn't recall anything. Observe anything? No. No.
Why did Lolly call him? Why did the Commonwealth call him? Because honestly, he's, in terms of him versus the previous witness, he recalls even less than the first guy. And the things that he does recall are different than the first guy. So like, what is the jury? If you're the Commonwealth, what are you hoping the jury takes away from this test? Like, that's the question. If you're the Commonwealth, what are you hoping the jury takes away from this testimony? That is a genuine question, because I have no idea what anybody was thinking they would take away from this, apart from, I mean, it just makes it worse.
Recall even looking sort of in that area?
No, I think he was in front of me, so I wouldn't have seen what was under him.
And so after Mr. O'Keefe is taken by members of the fire department over to the ambulance, what is it that you did?
Officer Saraf, at that point, we were trying to identify the victim, so I spoke to Mr. McCabe.
And without sort of anything that Mr. McCabe told you, about how long period of time did you talk to Mr. McCabe gathering information?
Approximately 2 minutes.
And who, if anyone else, did you speak with attempting to gather information regarding Mr. O'Keefe?
Mr. McCabe's the only one I recall speaking to.
Now, as far as the defendant, Ms. Reed, what, if anything, do you recall her sort of doing as you're on scene and as you're going about what you're trying to do?
She was screaming, is that my boyfriend? Is he dead?
So again, just like I pointed out with Saraf, right? This witness has recalled even less. The vast majority of the answers to these questions on direct are, I don't recall, I don't remember, I don't know, with very few exceptions. just like, it's so funny because I was just pointing this out with Saraf. I was like, yeah, one of the exceptions for Saraf was the 20 feet, right? He knew that number. That's also an exception with this guy, except it's a different number, but it's one of the few exceptions of like, where he's not like, I don't recall. And just like with Saraf, what's the other exception? What Karen Reed said. It would be more believable if he remembered at least a couple other things. I mean, you've got the victim on the ground. You don't remember what he was wearing. You don't recall any injuries. Initially, you tried to pretend like, you know, the whole thing about the snow. It's like, oh, there was no snow, but it looked like you'd been out in the elements or whatever. But then when Lolly asked it again for some reason, I don't know why he did, but he was like, I don't recall if there was any snow anywhere specific. And then like, was there any snow underneath? I don't recall. And it's like, but the two things this guy remembers is like 10 feet from the road and what Karen Reed said. And it's the same two things as Saraf. Ugh.
2 minutes.
And who, if anyone else, did you speak with?
And that's
attempting to
true.
gather information regarding Mr.
Still.
Ms. McCabe's the only one I recall speaking to.
Now, as far as the defendant, Ms.
Yeah, I hit him. They didn't really, that morphed in the second trial, right? But what this says to me is that like these witnesses were basically, whatever preparation they had was essentially, here's the two things you need to say, or remember that you need to at least remember enough to give some sort of answer. You know what I mean? Like they were clearly, there's some indication like, here's the important things, right? Make sure you can at least give an answer to these questions. You know what I mean? Type of thing, because, you know, they're on the stand for all this time and they don't know anything, but the same two questions, the answers to the same two questions. But yeah, no, Kitzman is absolutely right that no one's saying I hit him. That was so shocking, right? In the second trial when all of a sudden, but yeah, we'll get to that because Nuttall, I believe, is coming up on this very day. Yep. He's, I think, the next witness. Oh my God.
What if anything, do you recall her sort of doing as you're on scene and as you're going about what you're trying to do?
She was screaming, is that my boyfriend? Is he dead?
When you say screaming in a fairly loud voice, correct?
Very, very loud, yes.
And as far as that sort of phraseology, as far as is he dead, how many times was that something she said?
Phraseology.
Repeated many times.
And with the same sort of volume that she said it with as you described the first time?
Yes.
Leslie and Billy, welcome. Happy to see you. Missed you back.
And as far as,
nice.
If you know, about how long was the ambulance on scene before it left to go to the hospital?
I don't recall.
10 minutes approximately.
Oh, never mind. He knows that one.
Good Samaritan.
And
he knew the hospital.
After the ambulance left and went to the hospital, where did the three women that you're talking about being defendant, Ms. McCabe, Ms. Roberts, where did they go?
I believe they left the scene.
So did you have any, or what if any conversation did you have with any of them following that?
None.
Now, as far as Ms. Reed, the defendant, is concerned, what if anything else did you observe as far as her saying or her demeanor or anything like that?
Just the screams and she was very distraught.
She was
now, at some
distraught.
points, did Ms. Reed sort of stay in one place, or where did Ms. Reed go sort of around the cruisers and the ambulance and all of that?
I believe.
I mean, that was leading because he said around. He gave the answer. He said, he used the word around in the question.
She went to one of the vehicles. I don't know if it was a cruiser or one of the cars. Just stay warm.
The answer that Lolly wanted there was like she was running around frantic, right? That's the answer that Lolly wanted. That's not the answer he got.
And
thankfully,
the other two women that were with her, as far as Ms. McCabe, Ms. Roberts, were they in the same general vicinity as the defendant, or were they separated, if you recall?
I don't recall.
There we go. Back to I don't
Now, at some point after they had left the scene, what, if anything, were you advised by your dispatch in regard to Ms. Reed?
We were dispatched that, or Can't Control had advised us that she's making suicidal statements.
And so based on that, what, if anything, did you or the other officers that you were on scene with do at that point?
I don't recall exactly who, but someone had called Ms. Roberts to have Ms. Reed come back to the scene, and we section 12 there.
And so about how much time elapsed between the time that you learned that from dispatch and the time Ms. Reed arrives back on scene with Ms. Roberts?
5 minutes, approximately.
Now, you mentioned that there may have been other officers on scene, correct?
Yes.
So in addition to yourself and Officer Saraf, who, if anyone else from your department, arrived on scene while you were there?
Sergeant Good arrived, Sergeant Lank at the time, and Lieutenant Gallagher.
And when was that in relation to when yourself and Officer Saraf arrived on scene?
Sergeant Good was there shortly after, and then Sergeant Lank shortly after him, and then Lieutenant Gallagher after that.
And in total, as far as sort of the earliest and the longest, about how long was it until Lieutenant Gallagher arrived on scene?
I would say less than 45 minutes.
Does this matter? Like,
and in total, how long was it that you were on scene that night?
90 minutes to 2 hours.
Why does this matter?
And during the course of time that you were on scene, at some point, did the sun come up?
Yes.
And during the time that you were on scene, as far as the conditions, and let me ask just a little bit more about that.
Oh.
You indicated something about snow being on the ground and
Oh, for Pete's
not being
sake.
able to see, correct?
Yes.
What, if any, sort of other things in addition to that from a weather perspective? What was the
From a-
temperature like out at that time?
From a weather perspective. From a weather perspective.
It was very cold. It's cold.
Could you or do you have any estimate as far as to how cold?
25, and it was windy.
And when you say windy, could you expound upon that as far as like what kind of wind?
When you say what type of fucking question, you guys, I'm sorry, I couldn't even get it all the way through. Let me let him ask his dumb question. Hold on. Oh my god.
And let me ask just a little bit more about that. You indicated something about snow being on the ground and not being able to see the curve, correct?
Yes.
What, if any, sort of other things in addition to that from a weather perspective? What was the temperature like out at that time?
It was very cold. It's cold.
Could you or do you have any estimate as far as to how cold?
25, and it was windy.
And when you say windy, could you expound upon that as far as like what kind of wind? Like, are we talking constant wind, gusts, or something?
It's like he's filibustering, really. Or he's trolling himself. Could be trolling himself. I don't even know anymore.
I would say gust to constant.
Is he trying to is he having a secret competition with himself? Can he outdo himself with each witness, making it more and more boring than the last, and asking more and more questions that are even, I don't even have a word. I don't even know what you would call it. I just don't.
And fairly strong winds, light winds, what kind of?
Not necessarily strong.
Why are we still at? He's proving my point. Have we not covered? It was windy.
Light winds, but it was definitely windy.
And during that sort of total time, about 90 minutes or so that you were on scene, was the weather consistent throughout that entire period that you were on scene?
That I recall, yes.
Oh my god.
Now, in the area where
my god.
you first observed Mr. O'Keefe.
The thing is that the jury can see how windy it is in the body cam and in the different video, because you can see the snow and you can tell that is a much this is useless in every way and nonsensical. But okay.
On the lawn. After his body was removed by the fire department, what, if anything, did you observe sort of in that general area?
Nothing.
Nothing. Great. Brilliant. Job well done. A+. Not.
Said that Ms. Reed was brought back to the scene around Fairview Road at the same time by Ms. Rock, correct?
Correct.
You know where she went from there?
She was transported to Good Samaritan.
Different
But the
ambulance taking Mr.
Correct. Different ambulance. Yep.
But the part where I know he asked everyone about the weather, but it's usually that's the snow, right? That's why I've got the ticker. But when he's like, it was windy, it's like, can you expound upon that? What type of wind? It's like, and then he answers it, and then he asks further about the type of wind. Just this guy. I mean, that was just
Now, as far as
the lolly, just worse.
Mr. O'Keefe was concerned, you assisted getting him onto the backboard, is that correct?
Yes.
Did you also assist getting him onto the stretcher?
Yes.
And beyond sort of the visual observations that you made, did you have occasion to, in that process, have any sort of tactile observations?
I don't think he had any visual observations. So far, he had not been able to describe anything about the victim.
Did you come into contact
Only the weather.
at any point?
No.
Beyond what you've already testified to, did you make any other observations at any point of Mr. O'Keefe, his body or any injury?
No, not that I recall.
Oh my god! Still, so he's observing him on the stretcher now. So now there's light, right, going on to the ambulance, and still doesn't observe any injuries. I mean, is this really okay? This is a genuine question. Should this guy maybe not be in law enforcement? Just saying, because you're responding to a scene with, at the very least, a quote unconscious person, although we know very well that she says man, but they've been calling it a person so far. Somebody's hurt, at least. You're there as a one of the first officers on. You're number 2. You're the second one there. It's it's one thing. I get it if it's dark. Okay, fine. But now it's you're loading him on the stretcher, putting him in the ambulance. So there's all those lights, right? And you still don't observe any injuries. Like, I mean, and if he's got issues with his vision, then that's totally understandable. But again, maybe this isn't the job for him, right? I mean, what is going on? You're like, in this moment, like if you're that officer in that moment, your number one job is to observe what's going on with the victim. That is your number one job. And we got nothing. Why were you even there? I mean, and meanwhile, probably getting paid like 6 figures, right? Oh my God.
Sir, I'm gonna
Okay.
direct your attention up to the screen over here.
Oh.
Gentlemen, if you could just.
Okay, I can't. We're gonna watch more videos. All right, here's the deal. We're gonna call it there because this is testing me like in a major, like, holy crap. It's worse. And for some reason, I feel like this is worse than the first time we saw it. And maybe it's just because we know how bad it's going to get. I don't know. But we're gonna watch. Look, it's the same photo. Same photo. This is all cumulative. Same 2 photos even. Look. This, if you look in the thumbnail down there, same 2 photos because we've made fun of these. Same 2 photos. Okay, so he's almost done with direct. They have cross, okay? Then the jury breaks, and then we have Nuttall. And I believe he finishes out the day, and then we go on to day 3. So let me amend our plan. So on New Year's Eve, our New Year's Eve sidebar extravaganza, we'll finish out this. And again, this is a half day. Day 3 is also a half day. So we will finish out day 2 because there's not a whole lot of testimony left. We'll finish out day 2. And then we will also go through day 3, and then we'll see if we can get through some of day 4 as well. I think day 4 is a full day, although I could be wrong. It could also be a half day because Judge Bev. But actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I think I was expecting it to be a full day. When I was looking, it's also a half day. Anyway, nonetheless, we'll do the rest of this day, and we'll do day 3, and then either all, if it's a half day, or some of day 4 on our next live stream, because that will be a much longer one on New Year's Eve. Hopefully you guys can all join us. Party squirrels, right? So challenging though, isn't it? Kismet says, yeah, maybe we want to consider focusing on testimony on the actual sidebars and 2 interesting testimony. I know, but here's the thing though, is that I just feel like if we're going to do it, we need to do it right. You know what I mean? I don't know. I totally see what you're saying, Kitsmits, and I feel you on that. I mean, I would be okay. Let me just say this much. I would be okay with skipping the rest of this dude's testimony. Actually, he's almost done, even with cross. He's almost done. Because I think we've seen what he has to offer. What, if anything, he has to offer, right? But not all definitely, I think, is worth watching just because not all I think is worth watching. When it gets to all the firefighters, it might be that we can skip some of those because they parade a bunch of them in, and some of them are shorter than others. But anyways, we'll make sure that we we don't want anybody to die of boredom or of lolly. That's one thing. But we do want to get the full picture, especially because, again, I mean, I don't know about you guys. Like, I know that most of us have probably watched certain testimony from this trial since it happened. Obviously, the McAlberts, Proctor, Trooper Paul, right? We've seen it. But as far as the rest of the trial, like I said this last time, like I've not watched any of this since we watched this live when it happened. So it's not the worst thing in the world to go back and see it again. However, when it's so cumulative, that therein lies the rub, as they say, right? Because it's like, well, in a way, you see one witness, you've seen them all with Lolly, right? So, but yeah, I appreciate that. And anyone who's watching on Replay Crew 2, please feel free in the comments to let me know what you guys want to do. If you guys are like, no, we're here for the long haul, we're watching the whole thing. I'm down with that. If you guys want to do that, we could take a vote next time, maybe too, if y'all wanted. But I am good with that. If we want to say, yep, we're doing it for real, like You know, we're watching it faster than normal speed for the vast majority, right? But it's like, if we're gonna watch every word, we're gonna watch, you know, whatever. That's fine with me too. I'm happy to do whatever will make you guys happy. So, but yeah, we're wanting to get the full picture. So that's the main thing, you know, of the full trial. And again, some of it is so cumulative that I think you can't omit it and it wouldn't take away from the full trial. That's not true with every trial, right? There's definitely trials where it's like you delete one witness or two witnesses, right? And you might be missing something. Anyways, I think you guys get the point. I love y'all. Thanks so much for being here. Thanks for being an awesome squirrel. Let me pull this banner down. I will see you guys on New Year's Eve. But until next time, squirrel out.